Check. We all ready? The guy who created NFL Films died, so I'm going to start off with a poem from NFL Films.
Steve Sable?
Steve Sable died a while ago. Ed Sable, his father, died.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Test. I feel like I'm in one earphone.
Okay.
Test.
I'm good.
All right, you ready?
Can you turn my headphone up a little? I think it's the far
Turn my
right one, maybe.
headphones up.
Far right one. Far right. Test. No, far right. Next one over. Right. Jeez, test. That wasn't it.
No, it's like that.
Joe with the headphones.
Just start recording this, because I have to let people hear this. What is wrong? What can't you hear?
I can't hear any of
That I
us.
had the first time.
Well, no, he can't hear. If he can't hear anybody,
Test.
that's a problem.
That's not it. Test. Oh, that is it. Yeah. It's either on or off. That's weird.
All
right, we're fine.
We were always fine. Now you're fine.
Dan needs a back rub.
That sounds fine.
Dan, I'm going to leap off the balcony. Just give him the fucking... Are we recording? Oh, good. Keep all of that in.
Oh, no.
That was our new open, by the way. The new open is a tape of that. Joe, I can't ever hear the fucking mic. He's the only guy who can't ever hear the microphone.
It's definitely no. The headphones are definitely lower than they normally
Sue
are.
Costello's here.
Hi.
Sue is a great comedian who I've known for a while, and we've all known for a while. Joe, when did you first? Well, say hi, Sue.
Hi, everybody.
How you doing?
How you doing?
Sue's from Boston.
Yes.
I think I've known Sue for probably 20 years.
Now, are you one of those real Boston people? You grew up in Dorchester?
I grew up in Dorchester, and I have a little bit of I don't know if it's allergies or cold, so my accent's even much thicker.
Well, listen, I've always loved that about you. I first met you years ago. I saw you do a set at Caroline's. That is just like a kid. It was unbelievably funny. The jokes were funny, and combined with that accent, and you were like this adorable blonde. And my God, this is a find. And
and here I am.
Yeah,
You're ready to quit comedy and
Now
get
you're
into
in my kitchen.
Be ahead of a network.
I have made
No, I mean,
it.
the people recognize that, but Sue's very talented. She does plays, acts, writes. And now, when they say Boston, are you part of the, like everybody bullshits that they're from Southie and all that stuff. Where is Dorchester in that whole pantheon?
Dorchester's right next door. It's the next neighborhood over from
So
Southie.
it's like a rough neighborhood.
You're very rough.
It is.
Is
Okay.
Dorchester like Southie, where it's not rough anymore? It's like nice. Like I went to Boston recently, and
I didn't know
Southie's like
South-
nice now.
It's
not
like
rough at all.
It's hip.
Brooklyn.
Well, I
It's
mean-
like Brooklyn.
Oh,
now.
okay.
Well, you can still find rough people, but in terms of no, it's not. I go back there and I'm like, if anybody came back here, they'd be like, "So you're a liar."
No, listen, I mean, the late 80s, mid 80s, late 80s, like I say, Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, Greenpoint, there were places you went to cop. It was just or get killed while you were copping, and going to the Barclays Center. We talked about it. That is like going to Connecticut. It's like Greenwich, Connecticut. That's what it looks like. The people have, fucking Coach bags, and it's really a yuppie situation. And I didn't know Southie was at all like that.
Yes, well, in defense of my era growing up in Boston, I think a lot of it had to do with the Catholic Church scandal going on and the busing. So you had people being molested and horrific racism being put on people.
It's like choose racism or molestation.
They had
I have
both.
to say I would
It's-
choose
it's-
racism.
They had both.
Yeah, but I would choose, if you had to choose a neighborhood, like if your kids are going to be exposed to racism or get molested, I got to say, hey, give me the application for the Klan. And there's real racism in Boston. I mean, real. Ask any black athlete who's ever played.
Are you allowed
for
to
like
sit
the
at this
Red
table?
Sox? Ask Jimmy Rice.
Am I what?
Are you allowed to sit here? With
I'm
me
allowed
being
to sit here
With me being here?
because you're black. Yeah, it's okay.
Boston's a lot like Philly that way.
Now, Boston's on a different
Oh
level.
yeah, they're racist.
You think it's worse?
Boston is a very unique paradox because the Kennedys and all the politics are very liberal, very left-wing Democrat. You guys elected Ted Kennedy, was an embarrassing drunk for 40 years. You guys kept electing him
Right.
to Senate. He had a head the size of a red moon, and he drowned a woman.
Shit happens.
That's bad.
Come
It's
on.
hard to come back from drowning a woman.
I don't know.
If you're going to be a politician.
It's kind of over.
Or, I mean, maybe he didn't drown her. He had fucked her, I guess, or she blew him, and he was married at the time. And when they were driving over a bridge, he kind of left her at the bottom of the wall.
Yeah, he got out.
He left her at the bottom of Edgartown, and he just swam back to town himself, and a million people saw him soaking wet.
Sounds like somebody kept yapping to me.
And the next day he said, I was swimming. I went swimming. So a billionaire couldn't find a towel to towel off, to dry off. Instead, he drunkenly walked back from the lake.
But in defense of Boston, the forced busing on both sides was horrific for everybody to go through, both
Right.
the blacks and the whites. It was crazy. The
Right,
judge
because you didn't
passed-
want them with you, and you didn't want to be with them.
No, well, they weren't getting the education that they should be getting, but the way that they
See,
judge
that's
handled
Boston
it.
politics.
Well,
That's
it is? Am I being political now?
You're being liberal.
I am?
You're being liberal, sure. Of
How?
course. By defending busing in that way?
No, I'm not defending busing.
There's a
I'm
lot of
defending the
kids from
fact that
Southie I've met who don't have that.
No,
same-
I'm defending the fact that the kids in the predominantly black schools weren't getting the proper education, and something needed to be done about that. But the way that the judge handled it, which is just crazy, passing a law that you had to force the busing, where the black kids went to Southie and the Southie kids went to
Right.
Roxbury, was insane on both parts. I mean, the violence that ensued is not
Well,
surprising.
all I know is this. I was doing a midnight show at the Comedy Connection in Faneuil Hall one night, and I said, why don't you guys like New York? What's the problem with New York? And a kid yelled out, too many niggas. And it got basically a standing ovation. I know, because I was one of the ones clapping. But I'm saying that there's that type of overt racism, which I happen to give
Respect
respect to.
more, yeah.
Yeah, because it's not like that bullshit behind the scenes stuff.
Well, you should see when I'm out with a black guy.
Yeah.
I gotta
Now, do you
tell you.
date black men?
I've dated black men, and I was out with.
Does your family know about that?
Yeah,
They do? Mm-hmm. Now, how does the Dorchester Costellos deal with that?
they deal with it all right. They live in
Really?
Hingham now.
What are they live what?
In Hingham, which is a very
What
wealthy
is that?
suburb.
Hang 'em?
I'm not going to hang 'em.
Is that a nickname for the? There were so many lynchings. It's called Hang 'em.
Oh, you coming to Thanksgiving? Where's it at? Hang 'em. Nah. I'll
So
make
you're
my own
bringing your
game.
black boyfriend to hang him? What?
Coming to hang 'em.
You got to have at least a couple of cousins who are not happy with Jerome coming home.
Well, I didn't say I ever brought him home.
Yeah, okay, I'm saying what was the you didn't parade him through Dorchester so
No,
all the
I never-
Wahlberg kids could see him.
No, I dated a black guy, but I never brought him home.
One black guy?
Yeah.
Was he a comic?
He wasn't a comic, but he was a friend of a comic, and he lied to me. He told me that he was like an international stockbroker, and when I went to his apartment, he heated his apartment with
A
the
black
stove.
guy lied to you?
Yeah. He
My
did-
God, well, call 60 Minutes.
He heated his apartment with his stove. He wasn't.
With the what?
I don't
Man,
believe
you
him.
really went black.
I don't believe him.
I mean, this guy didn't have electricity.
He did, and he told me he had to light his apartment with porno too.
Okay, that's funny. I like this guy.
Blackest guy I've ever heard.
I like him. What's his name?
Well, if I was gonna go black, I wanted to.
I mean,
go
you
all
weren't
the
dating
way.
one of the Gumble brothers.
No.
But I promise you this: the dick was good though. I promise you that because he was so broke, the dick
Well,
was
first
phenomenal.
of all, Sue Costello, while we were sitting here, just got sent a dick pic on her Twitter. That is the most extraordinary. I've never. It's a white man, and Joe of all people, Joe Matarese said that's the biggest white cock I've ever seen. Which begs the question, Joe, how many black cocks have you seen?
He can't hear you.
He's still fucking with us. Guys, what's going on, guys? We can't do the show like this.
headphones.
Why is the headset? What's wrong with the headset, Joe?
It's only coming out of my left ear.
Who cares?
Make a difference.
We want to know
Never
what
did that
ear the
before.
black cock came into.
Did you hear the question about the black cock?
I forget it.
Okay,
We're not going to.
No, you were going to say what I said about the white, about the I've never seen a white cock that big.
Well, Sue, have you?
No,
Have you
I've
seen a
never-
black cock that
No,
big?
I've never seen anything like that.
That's a
picture
monstrous
before.
cock.
That's a good foot and a half.
And the
that
funny
dick
part is,
pic.
he was trying to like go out with me by sending me that picture. That was
Well, then he
was really
showed you a picture of his face.
That's his
Yes.
opener.
After he sent me like 14 dick pics, and then he sent me the picture.
Well, I would, if he sent the dick pic last, I would be burying the lead a little bit.
would be very.
The guys, do you think the guy was a good-looking guy face-wise?
Face-wise, he was not bad looking, but there was a creepy feeling.
After 14 dick
Yeah,
pics.
I don't know if I would. I might have felt the same way, but I don't know. I can't even tell you because I did get the 14 dick pics.
You
first.
did, my God. And was there anything about that like turned you on at all?
Nothing. I've never gotten it. That was my first dick pic.
Wow.
I've never
Okay.
even gotten one in private. Not even the porno black guy.
And this guy just came out of nowhere.
He must have saw me on TV. I think they see me on TV, and then they.
Now, did the black guy have a huge penis?
You can be honest. It wasn't. What was it? What was it? Talk.
Well, it was a sexual relationship, I'm sure.
It was a sexual
I mean, it didn't sound like you were there for the conversation.
I was there for the stove.
Yeah, I was there for the heat.
I'm a little chilly. Turn that stove
How much
up.
did he charge for the heat? If you want heat, I'm gonna need the pussy. If you want the heat, I'm gonna need the pussy.
Wait a minute, this started because I was telling you how there's reverse racism too. How there's racism because I was with Dean Edwards one night. We were
Black comedian,
We were at
yeah.
Laugh Fact, not just a black comedian, but a rich, famous one at the time because he was on SNL.
I've never heard of him, but go ahead.
Yeah, Dean Edwards.
I mean, I met him at the Comedy Cellar. I went rich and famous.
But he was, I mean, at the time, that's
You're making
that
him
was
sound
the
like Eddie
perception.
Murphy.
No, that was the perception.
So now we know what turned Sue on. Listen, it wasn't a black comedian, Artie. What am I going to? I'm just going to date a black comedian? It was a rich and famous guy. Well, that's exactly what that sounded like. How else am I going to think that? Artie, I'm not just dating a rich black comedian. It's a rich and famous black comedian.
No, I'm saying in terms of the perception.
It was in every 30th sketch.
No, the perception,
Which is a
was,
lot.
The perception was that I was. So he asked me if I wanted to ride. We were going from the Laugh Factory to the comic strip. He asked me if I wanted to ride. He was going to drive me.
Typical move.
He was married.
I know Dean. Yeah, I know.
Right, he was just taking me to the comic strip, and when we walked from like 42nd Street to wherever his car was parked, the looks I got from black women were like they wanted to slice my throat.
Yeah,
They
that's
were
what
so
Richard
mad.
Pryor used to always say that
I
I can't fuck a white woman without y'all getting mad at me.
They were so mad, and it's like because he was like one of the good ones too. I think that's even like 'cause he
One
was
of the good ones?
successful. Well, better than the one with the stove. I don't know how many looks I would get.
Plus,
with the
you're
stove.
extra white. So.
I am really
You got
right.
like really blonde hair, like super blue eyes. Yeah, you're like
I get
pretty
really,
white.
I'm like the whatever is supposed to be
you're a fuse, just
Yeah.
like
Absolutely.
for a
Well, you
black
could start a riot.
And they don't even know I'm from Boston because I'm not talking. I'm just walking.
They're just walking. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're going.
Well,
like,
so what? How did that How did that sort of manifest itself? Did it get ever really bad? Did you ever have like a confrontation?
no, but I just remember thinking, wow, look at that. I just got it from just walking down the street with this guy.
Now,
I'm not
did
dating
you
him.
tell Dean? I feel uncomfortable.
No, I made a rap about it. I need a ride, bitch.
Right.
I don't know what.
Well, this is getting more and more
I
black.
love this. I love this story. I don't know. It's
I
taking
made a
twist
rap
I don't
about it. Just
expect.
because I'm walking down the street with a man who happens to be the color a little darker than tan doesn't mean I'm trying to kill off your race. I'm just trying to get myself to a different place.
Well, no one's killing off the black race.
Yeah, not happening.
Plus, he's rich and famous.
But they,
One of our fans, Tan Filato, will have a beat to that in about 2 days.
but they figure because I'm breaking it down. I'm not keeping it real by.
All right. Well, I mean, I think it's all about just love. If you love somebody
But my point is just that yes.
and what they do for a living.
And that was I feel in
What
the
do you
past
think?
10 years that is, I would say maybe in the past 2 years it's become more acceptable.
It's more
Yes.
acceptable. It's not.
Well,
it's not
maybe
as bad.
lies are different in the black community because while we were getting ready for the show, we were talking about Brian Williams, the NBC anchor, and Chris Cotton said he didn't really lie. He didn't really lie, and I said, "What? What? He didn't really lie. He told the most insane lie of all time. Like he said he was on a helicopter that crashed, but it didn't crash."
I mean,
Chris said he embellished it. And
He
right then,
embellished
that told
That's
me what
not
kind
an
of character you
embellishment.
were. I was like, Chris
An
is no
embellishment
character.
is, we had a rough landing.
I mean,
There was turbulence.
There was turbulence.
I mean, everything went safely. It's not going to get on air.
An embellishment is Dean Edwards is rich and famous.
I mean,
Holy Christ. Actually, that's more like the helicopter crash.
I feel like
What are you making SNL? $9 an hour, first of all?
I feel like Brian Williams was trying to tell a good story. Jesus Christ!
Oh my God! Your wife is in trouble. What good stories do you tell your wife?
I got a lot of good stories.
Because Dennis Rodman was on the Stern Show once, and Carmen Electra caught him in bed with another woman, and he told Carmen Electra that she fell out of the ceiling, that there was work being done upstairs,
No way.
and she fell into the bed, and Carmen Electra supposedly bought it for a little while.
Oh, that is ridiculous. That is great. That is great.
So, I mean, Brian Williams is some
a lying
sort of...
piece of shit.
Here's my point about that. And we're going to have Richard Roper, the great Richard Roper, who's an expert in everything. He's going to come on and talk to us about this. My theory is this. All these news guys, liberal, not liberal, far right, left, I think Brian Williams and Bill O'Reilly are the same fucking guy. They want to be entertainers. They want to be entertainers, and they just choose an opinion, and they stick to that opinion no matter what. So some guys work for Fox, some guys work for NBC. Clearly, both of those guys want to be entertainers, but I think on some levels, they're hypocrites. I mean, I don't have any, proof of anything Bill O'Reilly ever did, but you hear stories. And, Brian Williams clearly is... I mean, I don't know what he wants. He wants more attention. He wants to be more famous. He wants to be considered edgy. I saw Springsteen in Paris, and I went back to Nils Lofgren, who I became friendly with, invited me back to Springsteen's hotel at the Four Seasons on the Champs-Élysées, where I really fit in. Brian Williams was there, and I had like a half an hour conversation with him, and he knew about the Joe Buck thing I had done. So he did a half an hour on why Joe Buck is an idiot, and I told him, I said, look, I actually became friends with Joe Buck, so I can't get into a bash fest with a guy.
Don't embellish this, please.
I like the guy, but I could tell that he knew I was a comedian, and he was trying to be funny and maybe like be one of the guys there. Well, he was a super nice guy, but now you don't know what the fuck to think.
But he entertains it, like he does a lot of like hosting of things in Nantucket, and also so the line gets blurred between the integrity of a journalist and then his
exactly. I don't know what to think of him now. Obviously, if you tell a lie on that level, and it is disrespectful to people who really have gone in crashes. I mean, when I was over there with DePaulo and Attell and those guys, we on our way back from a gig, we really had a mortar attack that we were involved in, and they wrote about it in the Daily News. They somehow found out about it in New York, and the Daily News wrote a whole article about it. And I was, when I got back on Stern, I wanted to say that it wasn't a real harrowing thing. We got in this bunker, and the Marines and the soldiers made us feel very safe. They were on either end of this bunker with AK-47s watching out for our safety. And we were in there for about 45 minutes. We didn't know what was going on outside. It sounded bad, but we weren't in the shit. And I did a bit on my stand-up act, the special I did after that, about this one kid that was assigned to protect me. And just like a pretty impressive person he was. And you are. When you're in that situation, you want to make sure, look, I'm not pretending I went through any hell like these guys went through. You go over the top to make sure they understand that. And Brian Williams just threw that to the wind here.
Here's my thing with Brian Williams, too. I feel like I feel like this with everybody. Like, the cover-up is always worse than the crime. Like, it is so embarrassing when imagine like when somebody hurts you or they cheat on you or something, and you're like, you cheated on me, right?
Yeah.
They're like, no, it's because you're ugly. Like, no, it's because of this. Like, they go through like 10 other things telling you why you're wrong instead of just saying they're sorry at the beginning. That's what I feel like Brian Williams is not doing. He's not just, if he does, because everybody's human.
Well, he's a journalist, though. It's so hard for him to tell the truth right now. I mean, think about it. Right now, he's got to say, here's a guy who probably one day thought he was going to be the new Walter Cronkite, and on some levels he is to people. He's this beacon of light for liberals who watch NBC News, and he is a guy. I followed him once on Conan. He does. He perceives himself to be a humorist, a comedian, and to look the camera in the eye now and go, I completely lied to you about all of this, means he hasn't officially been fired.
Yeah, his integrity is gone. You can't be a journalist anymore.
Right?
Who knows what would happen from that? Like, so there's nothing he can do about what he did. And you're saying he's kind of a comic. He's kind of a journalist. He's
a journalist, but he wants to be other things.
Right. So he needs to own. He needs to get some balls, is what I'm saying.
Right.
And just like own it, because otherwise it's going to get. My point is, he's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. The more he denies it, it's going to bury himself more instead of just having some balls and being like, you know what? I'm not Walter Cronkite. I'm Walter Cronkite who wants to be Mom's Mabley.
There's a reference for you. Now, listen, the rumors about him now. Here's the problem: once you come clean with that, now they're looking back. What else did he lie about? And now they have a list of other things.
What are some of the other ones?
What was the one that came up?
They went all the way back to when he was 17, about some story when he was 17.
Yeah, they started,
come on.
Like his dog ate his homework type shit.
So he's one of those guys. Everyone has a friend like that who just goes to the lie. That's what I always say.
Most of them become comedian.
I had a friend. I knew a guy in high school. I'll never forget it. He, like, the teacher for day one of the first class, the teacher goes, "Does anyone have a nickname that they go by?" And this dude raises. I didn't know him that well, so I believed it. He raises his hand and he goes, "Yeah, Chaz. I go by Chaz." And he kept the lie for the whole fucking year. Like, he was Chaz for a year in this one class. And I was like, this guy's fucking crazy. Like, he just made it up.
I did that once just to
up a
fuck with the
nickname?
teacher. But this teacher, my God, one time I brought a water pistol in, and I put my book up like a barricade, and she was at the podium. She was just scared to death of the students. And she's talking about American history or something, and I kept hitting her in the face with the water pistol, and Mrs. Fullcomer was her name. And she kept going, and then the American Indians, and her head kept going back. At the beginning of the semester, the same thing. If you have a nickname, I'll call you by it, because you want it to be hip and like our friend type of thing. And I put down Skipper. For the first 3 weeks, she called me Skipper, and then me and my 4 friends in the back would just fall on the floor laughing. And then after 3 weeks, she go, I don't think your nickname is Skipper. Because whether I knew the answer to the question or not, I would just go, and she'd go, Skipper, and I go, ah! It took her 3 weeks to stop that.
I had a nickname in grammar school.
Which was a fuck black guy?
Taint Spot.
What is it?
Taint Spot.
Taint Spot? Is that a real
God.
nickname?
Yeah, because nobody knew
My
what it
Irish
was.
buddies would have
They'd
called
be
you
like, Taint Spot.
Mud Shark.
Mud Shark. What's that?
It's a white chick who dates black guys.
Oh.
I remember you already telling me
My
that.
Irish friends who all became cops told me that.
I think you once told me, didn't like you say a lot of Saturday Night Live characters are basically someone's real life friend or
No,
something?
to me, a good impression or a really great original character is an impression of someone who isn't
Right.
famous.
Well, don't you think the Lovitz character, the liar, was probably like he knew somebody who just
or a
bullshit?
composite of stuff.
Yeah, because I think everyone has that friend. You're like, geez, and no one ever calls them on that. They're those guys that you just let them lie, and you never go, dude, shut the fuck up.
Half of the shit I did at Mad TV was all based on guys I worked with at the port or I grew up with or bookies.
Rachel Dratch did Debbie Downer. I'm sure that was somebody.
Yeah, Joe Matarese.
I used to know a lot of South Philly like Guido guys, and there was always one or two of them. And you're from Philly, Chris. The Italian Guido guys, they always lie. It's just their
look, there's
thing.
insane bullshitters.
Oh, my
insane.
God.
Black, white, they come in all colors. I know tons of guys. With
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, bullshit knows no race.
I
Hey.
had a friend who told girl he would go to bars and tell girls he was a Top Gun pilot. I'm like, why did you even pick that? Like,
Well, in L.A., they almost expect it. Like I told you, I made out with a chick who thought I wrote Jurassic Park. And Silence of the Lambs. I told her in a club, I said, I went to my buddy, I said, well, I'm just going to try to just the most insane lie. And this chick had like a German accent, this beautiful blonde girl at La Coloniale. I'll never forget. She said, what do you do? I said, I'm a writer. I wrote Jurassic Park. She said, get out of here. That's amazing. Wow. I made out with her at the end of the night. She ended up leaving with Jeremy Piven. So that's the worst ending to a story possible.
What's La Coloniale?
well, I used
It's some bar. It was a
On
club.
57th Street?
No, the same place, but the L.A. version.
Oh.
There was one in Beverly Hills.
I
in
got
LA.
stood up at the one on 57th Street.
By who? Dean Edwards? Or was
Yes,
the
he
kid
was too
was the kid
rich.
working on his? Was he spending all of his SNL money?
I'm sorry, baby. I'm buying sneakers right now.
I happen to think Dean is hilarious, but rich and famous.
That's hilarious. That you called
I
him.
want anyone who knows who Dean Edwards is. I want you to tweet to me tonight. Because I mean, he's an example of a really funny comic who's not rich and famous.
I said the perception was rich and famous.
I mean, but if Dean Edwards is rich and famous, I'm like Jack Nicholson.
Yes, but you don't know what the perception is of you, what people think.
Well, I know they think I'm a scumbag.
No, they probably think Artie's super rich.
Yeah, well, they think I'm richer than I am.
Yes.
They have that net worth thing.
Yeah.
A celebrity net worth. I
Right.
mean, it's probably what I should have without dope and whores. But, oh my God, if people really think that, I'm just nothing but a mark.
Yeah, that's what they think. They think if you're
That's
on TV, you're rich
so you
and famous.
went on that website when you met Dean and it said enough?
Celebrity.
He
It
had
also
a
had cock
car.
size
I
on
needed
it.
a ride.
Man, you're easy.
I used to love
Sue,
him.
next, as your white friend, next time call me. I will get you.
The guy with the stove. I have
A bunch
to
of,
say,
as a matter of fact,
very handsome.
a bunch of racists started a company to make sure white women don't get in that situation. It's called Uber. That's their slogan. Before you let the black man take you, call Uber.
I A lot of white women needing rides. What should we do? Uber. We're tired of this shit.
Before you let Chris Cotton take you home.
Hey, bitch, I'm right here. Come on in this car. I got the Uber.
The guy with the stove was
got
very,
the
very
Uber.
handsome.
Oh, I'm sure.
He was very handsome.
Listen, don't let my race.
I know for a fact, dudes that broke. I have friends who was that broke. They fuck like champs. That's all they do. Because
So
they got to
handsome.
keep the chick in.
No, I told
so
you.
they get in.
You know, a
and it's
lot
like,
of,
oh.
I know a lot of kids that good-looking guys who don't work. They just live off women.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh God.
Yeah, I had a boyfriend like
Absolutely.
that.
They just live off women.
I have a family member like that. He used to play Madden football for extra money, and then other than that, he just had chicks he would live with.
Right, and they pay the bills, and all he's got to do is fuck them. I mean, the whore thing goes both ways.
Wait a
Yeah.
second.
Absolutely.
How do you play Madden football for money?
That's a thing. They gamble off. He would literally make enough
What
to
do you
pay
mean?
rent,
How
but
do
he
you
would
play
never
for
pay
money?
rent.
You just bet on it.
He's
But yeah,
talking
bet.
video football.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
if you're
they
better,
would bet.
You
He
you
would-
bet the guy you'll beat him.
Yeah.
He just showed you just. It's
They would bet on
hilarious.
everything. The same way we did prop bets for the Super Bowl.
could bet on
Joe.
anything.
Yeah, they could bet like who would score first. It would be like the
could
people
bet-
on
I
the
could
side
make-
would make side bets, and the guy who playing will make. They would bet on the game, of course, and then side bets.
But it's so
Is
easy to
that
get
like a
ripped
hood
off.
thing though?
Nah, that's a thing. But in the hood, people
That's a
do
hood
it for.
thing.
It's the amount of money you playing for.
A lot of people bet on that.
Yeah.
We should have a thing where
I
we
could-
bet on who
that's
I
a-
date, what black guy I date next.
Well, it's all rich, famous black guys. Let me think of the other. Let me think of the other rich, famous black
Michael
guys.
Che is the new rich,
Chris
famous
Cotton?
black guy. According to her standards, I'm rich, famous black guys. Your standards are pretty low.
I don't know. I think it's a sign you have a major gambling problem if you're betting on Madden football.
You could bet on if I can make a
gambling,
cup of
but-
coffee quicker. I mean, you can bet on anything.
My friend, he wasn't have a gambling problem. He had a job problem, but he was really good at Madden, so he made that his
He's
job.
got to believe me. He's got to gamble.
He might have a gambling
Okay,
problem.
dude, what's coming out of your mouth? Jesus Christ,
know,
that's
he
scary.
I might be
is.
off today. I might be
Yeah.
off today.
No, I'm
It
just
happens.
saying off. It's like you're proving that you're just a bullshitter.
I think he's showing off for me.
Brian Williams. Well, this might work out.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a car, Chris? Do
I have one.
you have a stove?
I know about a stove.
Clearly, you have something to bake.
I don't have a
Gas
stove,
on.
but I
Clearly you
know
have
a guy
some-
with a stove.
Clearly, Chris has something that cooks food.
This is the pilot light lit.
Listen,
Hey, baby.
if you're willing to come to a friend's house that has a stove, we can maybe work some things
Guess
out.
who's got a car and a stove?
Is this a wood
I know.
burning stove or gas stove?
Come here, baby. I know what you need. You need some stove. What's up, baby? My baby needs some stove tonight. I'm getting another stove call.
It's
I'm getting another
nighttime.
booty car call. What's the matter? Uber ain't around, baby.
It's nighttime. Throw that porn light on.
It's a caddy car. I got my Cadillac and my stove. What other lie you were about to tell us, Dan? What other lie did Brian Williams? They say he told.
They're saying that his story from Katrina was BS.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
yeah,
the
the
Katrina
Katrina
thing.
one.
What
Right?
did he say about Katrina?
Another horrible
That's a
thing.
I'm
to
done
lie
with
about.
Brian Williams.
What did he say about it?
He said that gangs were fighting in the hallways. So he's trying to steal from my story of the W in
No,
Boston.
but that's like your bullshit story. Just damn bullshit story.
You told this story about Boston. Everybody throws Boston under the bus.
No,
too,
there was
right?
a gang fight when Artie played there a month ago
Yeah.
at the W
I was
downtown
there. I was
Boston.
there.
I agree.
Artie
I
was
think
in the
Dan
Four
needs- Dan
Seasons.
needed attention.
And of course, Joe slept through the entire thing like
I
he does
slept through.
this show.
Remember we had a joke that I wanted to do, and I said it's no way it's
Do
going to
you
come out
think
not
it,
racist.
Do you think it really happened? The fight, or is Dan trying to get attention?
Well, this was more Tim.
Is it a Brian
wasn't it?
Williams
Tim,
thing?
Tim got contact.
Tim Sullivan, your
Did Tim see the
road
fight?
guy.
No, he was afraid to open the door.
We got a note on my door in the morning from the W apologizing, and I slept
Wait
through the
a
whole
minute.
thing.
Do you think
A
Dan
gang
needs
fight?
attention?
Remember the joke? It was for the first time, white noise was louder than black noise,
That's funny.
and I couldn't say it on stage because I thought it would just be so
There's a
racist.
lot of
In
time white
Boston?
noises. A lot of time
Because
white.
I had a white noisemaker on in my room, and I didn't hear any of it. There was like he saw a guy with a gun, right?
Yeah.
What? I don't know.
I saw a guy with a gun.
At the W down in,
at the W
down on, like,
downtown. It was
and
3
Brian
o'clock in the
Williams
morning.
saw the
and
same guy in Katrina.
What happened was the hotel found out that they all made
They-
separate. They all made separate reservations. So normally the hotel can say, "Well, it looks like there's going to be a party here," but they all made separate reservations. They all got it on the same. They all asked for the same floor, and then then another gang came up there and they got into a fight. And I went to open the door, and the guy showed me a gun. He said, "Close the fucking door." And I called the receptionist. She sent the security guy up with an assistant. He walked. I was across from the elevator.
How did he show
walked,
you a gun?
lifted up his shirt.
Oh, old school.
Sure was a gun.
He walked up.
Not a dick pic. It wasn't a dick pic.
That was his
The
dick record
security
at his
guy.
Dick pic.
It was his
The
dick
guy
sticking
dick
up out
picked
of
me.
his-
Wait a minute.
Is that a dick?
I'm going to finish my story. The guy dick picked me.
Of course, this entire time I'm worrying about a legend, Joe Matarese. Of course, he's sleeping. But then I saw the security guard come out of the elevator, look at the gang fight. His eyes just blew up wide, and he turned around and hit the button on the elevator and went downstairs.
But when you say fight, were they like throwing fists at each other?
they were
What-
throwing drinks and they were throwing fists. Yes.
and kicking. Was any kicking going on?
I like how
I didn't.
Sue's
I only
like-
had the
I'm
door
trying to
open
get
for
to-
10
what's
seconds,
a gang
15
fight to
seconds.
this guy? What's a gang fight?
I'm
to
gonna be
this
honest
guy?
with you. Now
They were all of one certain race. Let's
Yes.
start out with that.
I know for a fact.
Were any of them available?
I know for a fact.
Asian.
Any of them have
They're
a
all
car?
Asian.
I know for a fact. Sue
You guys
grew
know
up
how
in
to
a
get to
shitty neighborhood.
Dorchester?
I know Sue grew up in a shitty neighborhood because all the questions she's asking are all the questions I'm thinking. It's
Right.
like I don't know if this is a real fight. Like she's like trying to make sure it classifies as a fight
By the
and
way,
not a scuffle.
I apologize to Sue.
Scuffle.
There's huge headlines in the TV section of the Post today. It's a 40th anniversary of SNL coming back, Eddie Murphy and Dean Edwards.
Dean's going to get famous from this podcast now. We're going to bring him back.
Let me point out, I think Dean is very funny. I'm just saying,
He is
Richard's
very
famous.
funny.
The other thing they said they made up is that he said he saw a floating body by the
bodies, yeah,
hotel,
yeah.
and now the general manager of the,
Did he really?
of the Ritz-Carlton
Another embellishment?
said the water wasn't high enough for the body to float near the hotel.
Okay, can we just stop for 1 second and realize that what he's lying about is like so twisted
It
because
is.
the morality
It's
of what he's
sick,
taught.
man.
He's taken two situations that are like heartfelt where you're
Oh,
using people's
it's
emotions
crazy.
and twisting it. That to me,
Because that could have been the body of a family who
people really
someone
went through
lost.
that.
You know?
Same thing with Afghanistan. It's like that's to me. So get some balls and like say you're sorry and just stop it.
Well, yeah.
Have him on the podcast. I'll tell him.
I know Brian's listening.
So your
I wanna have
suggestion
you
as
back.
you should be a producer. You saying we should get Brian Williams on the podcast?
Let's do it.
We should get Brian.
Okay,
Tell
Dan,
him
we'll
to
make
cut
that
it out.
fucking happen.
I think
And we'll
Sue
have-
should send him a picture of that dick pic. he'll really embellish it.
So it's hard to
You'll
get
be
Joe. It's
famous.
hard to get Joe and Chris here every day. The guy most talked about on the news is not coming on the
I
Orlando
would tell him. I would straight up tell him. I would say, Brian, stop it.
2 weeks,
That's what you would
2
do,
weeks
too?
ago, the biggest problem in his life was a lot of media asking him how he liked his daughter's ass
Yeah,
getting
supposedly his
eaten out
daughter is on
girls.
that show, Girls,
you know what's
and,
interesting
and
is-
she got her ass eaten.
And I always thought.
what?
You know
Oh,
what's-
no, hold on. Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
The opening scene of Girls was his daughter getting her ass eaten out.
It's so interesting because all the time I watched that, I would think to myself, because he was such a a figure on NBA. You say he's like Walter Cronkite, and I would think, how does this guy reconcile having a daughter who's on a show that has such vulgar sexuality? I'm not saying.
Well, he's
I'm
supposed
not
to be
making-
a liberal. He doesn't care.
But I'm just saying, in my head, I would always think, how does he reconcile that in his persona and his image? And
He would
everything?
never come out against it publicly because he's the guy
he's a
supposed to be
liar.
for the arts.
'Cause he's a liar.
And also because he's a liar. Every guy, I don't care how liberal you are, how
Right, who
artistic
wants
you
to
are,
see their
if your
daughter?
daughter's getting her ass eaten
Right.
out.
Is she one of the regulars on the show?
Yes.
Which
Yes.
girl is his daughter?
Allison
I don't
Williams.
watch
Allison.
You know, don't
Allison.
pretend
Marty,
like
she
you
plays
don't.
Marty.
Dan loves the show.
Whatever.
He talks
Put it
about all
opened
the
up with
time.
like you talking about like credits run, ass eating out, straight like that.
No, straight up opening scene.
Yeah.
Open
Here's
the
an
scene, so-
article about it. While we all watched the Golden Globes on Sunday evening, Gawker noted that HBO's Girls began its fourth season with Allison Williams' character Marnie on the
Marnie,
receiving
she's hot.
on the receiving end. Oh, she's smoking. By the way.
Yeah.
On the receiving end of some old-fashioned booty eating
Ooh,
from her new beau.
I like the way he phrased it too.
Also, can I just say, I'm not
Did the
a
stove
prude.
guy ever do that to you? Did he ever make you? Put
Oh
your,
yeah, he ate the.
Did you have to put your head in the stove? Is your head warm, baby? How's that head? Is that warm?
I call this the turkey.
I'm sorry.
That's great.
I'm just trying to,
Oh, that's
I
funny.
think I'm not a
people
prude.
in Dorchester are mad.
But here's my thing: is that scene was I always find that I'm more intrigued when something's emotionally supported, and that scene was not emotionally supported. There
So
was
you
no
watched
reason
the
for
show
it.
enough to know, Dan. You
There
could
was
talk
no
to
reason
Dan.
for that scene to be in there.
I
right?
totally agree with
Right,
you.
it was just purely gratuitous.
I totally agree. with you.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
I think the
well,
entire show is gratuitous.
That's horrible.
I just can't believe that they're giving this girl every answer to every problem these girls have is fuck the guy who you're fuck the guy.
It's disgusting.
It's I can't.
Well, if it's emotionally supported, if there's a reason why, if there's a flaw, if that's the way you manipulate, if
On the
that's
next
way you
view,
operate.
I don't.
Dan Filato talks to Sue Costello about whether or not the scene was emotionally supported. Was the scene in Girls where Brian Williams, the liar, where Brian Williams' daughter gets her asshole eaten out?
They just
Was
pick
that
up-
emotionally supported? On the next view.
I watched the show Girls, the season 1, and I thought it was a pretty decent show, and then it became this over the top too much show. And I
Kurt
kinda-
Metzger.
And
Kurt
we want to
Metzger has
see
a
that
funny
cow
joke.
nude the entire time.
Kurt Metzger has a funny
Lose
joke.
some weight,
about-
you slob.
Jesus
talking to me?
Christ,
Doesn't
Dan.
Are you
it?
talking to me? I knew this would come out. I knew this would come out eventually.
Is it Artie?
Yeah, not you, Chris.
Oh, thank you. It's not
No, but Kurt Metzger has a funny joke about that show. He said the title should be "Girls" with a question mark.
Although I love Cullen's acting on it.
Who's acting?
Colin Quinn's.
Oh, well, there you
he's
go.
on it.
Colin Quinn is on it.
How
so.
can you not love Colin?
Is that emotionally supported, his
Now,
character?
you still watch
Yeah,
it, right?
Colin's
Now,
emotionally
now, did it
supported
get
always.
better? Because
No.
season 1, I stopped watching after that, and then did it ever
But
come
you
back?
agree with me, right? That it was just sleep with the guy, and then all your answers are.
Well, there was a, you know what, Bob? There was an episode with
Guys, you want to do this over the fag hut?
who's
My
the
God.
who's that
I've
famous?
never
Turn into a girls'
I've
discussion.
I've never seen
Thank
this
God
show.
Sue is here because this
I've
would
never-
be.
Who's the girl who has
Of course, you never saw it because you get beat up in your community.
who's the girl who has the show on Comedy Central?
Amy Schumer.
Amy Schumer was on an episode. Just right at the top of it was once again right at the top of the show. Just her fucking yelling, fucking cursing across the bar. Did you see that episode with her on?
I don't know if I
And it was
remember.
just like, what the fuck? Like this is such bullshit.
My God. All right, are we
Sorry.
done? We'll
Can't even
We'll
talk
take
about
calls
it.
on this later.
You're the boss.
I mean, I'm going to watch the ass eating scene, but after that, I'm fucking out again. I don't.
Can't wait
At
to
least
I'm gonna
it was
go
a
home and
guy
practice it.
eating her ass out.
No, actually, it would have been hot either way if a dude eating the ass.
No, but if you're the father and that's your daughter, and it's the show
I'd have
Girls.
to
I don't want
lie-
anybody
I'd
eating my
have to
daughter's
lie.
ass out.
Sue's right. I'd have to lie and say to her, you want to be supportive and go, okay, this acting clearly is going great, honey, and I'm happy you got into this.
I'm not watching it.
But I'd be the father would be like, Jesus Christ. I mean, you go to some party and your fucking your neighbor who's some like lecherous asshole guy is going, hey, I saw your daughter on Girl.
I'm gonna punch him in the face. You have to.
Well, I mean, no, he's what is he going to say? Just not mention it? Then if he doesn't mention it, he's not being a good friend. I don't know.
And the very first episode was her masturbating, right?
Yeah,
She
and we'll
has a
just go back to
masturbation
the
scene.
same thing because I have a father and I'm in movies and on TV, and if it's emotionally supported, it's a different thing than if it's just gratuitous, because that's going to incite gratuitous
It's going to incite
guys
more,
at parties doing.
It's going to incite
disgusting
more
things.
interracial dating.
It's like Hillary Swank in Girls Don't Cry. Like that's a fucking emotional, crazy movie, and she's like she gets raped, and there's nudity, and there's all kind of crazy shit in that movie.
But it's all
But she
supported.
wins an Oscar, so it's different.
Yeah.
Well, it's all supported too because of what's the underlining. The girl scene was just opening with him doing that for no reason.
Well,
None.
that's where that show
I
jumped
mean-
the shark. I feel like that's what it does now.
There was a reason. It's just
There's never
Yeah,
a
the
reason
reason
on that
is
show.
that we're
That's why
talking
I
about
stopped.
it. The reason is to get like
to get ratings. And
Yeah,
stuff.
well, yeah, there you go.
Now I have to go watch it.
And it's
I mean,
something
they're
else.
winning.
It's something else to fuck with Brian Williams about.
Do you
And
think
right.
that show's still getting big ratings?
No, it never got big ratings.
It did at the
No.
beginning.
No,
Everybody
it
was
didn't.
winning.
It
It
never
was
did.
winning
It didn't.
Golden
It never
Globes
did.
and
No, it never.
The
got
only reason
ratings.
why the media loved it was because Judd Apatow produced it, and they loved this, this girl.
The big girl who's getting
Yeah,
naked. Like,
Leah
And she got in
Dunham.
trouble lying too.
the
Yeah.
show was
Oh, she didn't
good.
get in
She
trouble
talked
lying.
about
Beginning.
molesting her sister.
She got in trouble telling that story.
This
and
has
then
become the Tan Filato podcast.
On the same day he got in trouble on Twitter, they released
Yeah, let's
her book.
bring that up again. All right, calm the fuck down. Jesus Christ, Chris, I apologize.
we are both just out of this, and we have no.
Oh my God.
I heard ass eating, so I was all in. Then it was like, oh, what is this going? This is the gay.
I'm gonna talk
shit
about
we've
the
ever talked
NFL,
about.
so you guys might
Let's
wanna-
go.
you can
Yeah,
turn
I can
your
take a
mic
break.
off.
Yeah, y'all can leave. See, you know NFL shit. She's from Boston.
I would go Pats.
Let's pull
Jesus
up that ass
Christ.
eating scene.
Yeah, definitely pull up the
I want to
ass
see
eating
if like they're talking about ass eating or it just looks like she's getting her ass
scene.
eaten.
To me, it sounds like every porn I like watching that just say it opens up with ass eating. I'm like, yeah, this is good. This is going good. Now, what the fuck is the rest?
Are there any rules on HBO? I don't know. You can just totally get ass eaten.
My father's
You get
going to
your
have a
dick
problem
sucked.
with me being on this podcast, just talking about
Why
this.
is that?
He's going to call me and be like, what are you talking about ass eating for?
Who's not eating ass eating?
Pretty
It's
liberal.
2015.
Your father
Oh, we
sounds
talk
pretty
about
liberal.
We actually want to call this the Artie Quitter
Tell your father I have a
uncensored
stove.
ass eating podcast.
Tell your father, don't give me the break sign, asshole. You just wasted 15 minutes.
On ass
He gives me the break sign after 15 minutes. I got to
girls.
redo that. I'm going to put out a podcast where we're talking about girls for 15 minutes.
This is great.
Oh, my God.
We got to get some mansion out.
The creator of NFL Films, Ed Sable, died. And they were genius, absolutely. And his son went on to continue NFL Films, Steve Sable. And Steve died before the father. A lot of people don't know this. Ed lasted to 98, and he just fucking died.
NFL Films is part of the reason why I love the Niners.
Yeah, well, I mean, why is that? Explain that.
One of the
You grew up in Philadelphia and you like the 49ers.
I mean, one of the fucking NFL films was about the Niners, and I watched it, and I was like, I already liked them. Then I was like, this is solidifying it. It was just clips of Steve Young doing great shit.
Is there any way he used solidifying right there? There's no way.
I did.
That's not how you use solidifying.
You shut your mouth. That's exactly how you use it, right?
Explain how you use
I
solidifying.
don't know.
properly.
Are we doing this?
I'm aggravated now. I want an explanation. For
Really?
everybody.
You know what just happened? They pissed us off, and now we're fucking lashing on each
It's a
other.
residual thing.
Me and Artie are going to get into a nice fist fight.
Anyway, no, that's not happening. I don't need you
Who
to
narrates
beat me
for
up.
NFL Films? Not all the guys died.
Well, I don't even care.
No, they
that's
don't
how
make
much.
NFL
That's how
films
much I miss John Facenda. I don't even know the guy.
Do they make NFL films still?
What was Facenda, then Harry Callis?
Yeah, now it's some guy
Then
that
who?
tries to sound like everybody.
You just go 30 for 30. You don't even try NFL films. You go 30 for 30s, and that's it.
But
they
this guy, John Facenda. Here's my tribute to Ed Sable. It's the classic poem about the Raiders, "The Autumn Wind," and we'll take this into a commercial when we come back. Richard Roper, is that correct? He'll talk more about
More girls talk.
these current events. Yeah, I hope so. All right, this is for you, Ed Sable. The autumn wind is a pirate, bustling in from sea. With a radical song he tramples along, swaggering boisterously. His face is weather-beaten. He wears a crooked sash, with a silver cap upon his head and a blistering black mustache. He growls as he storms the country, a villain big and bold, and the trees all shake and quiver and quake as he robs them of their gold. The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you around and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won. That scene was completely gratuitous. There was no emotional support. When we come back, Richard Roper. Hey, Richard.
What's up, Artie?
Hey, man, thanks for doing this, buddy. I really appreciate it.
Of course, anytime.
Hey, welcome back to the Artie Quitter podcast. Artie Lang Uncensored, whatever the hell the title is. One of my favorite guys there is in the media is on the phone, and a couple things I'm going to talk to him about. Richard's one of the more savvy guys I know about anything in the media, and he's been very successful in the media for a long time, so I want to talk to him about the Brian Williams thing. Richard Roper, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, Artie. How you doing, man?
Good. So you mind talking about Brian Williams a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
My theory is that all these guys are the same guy, no matter what their politics are. They, Glenn Beck, Bill O'Reilly, maybe not Hannity. He seems maybe a little too off the charts, but he still wants to be an entertainer. And Brian Williams, whether they're liberal, whether they're right wing, they want to be entertainers. They want to be comedians on some level. They want to be edgy, but not edgy enough to where they lose their job. And they want attention and they want to be famous. Brian Williams especially. I've met the guy a couple times. I've done a couple episodes of Conan with him, and you could tell part of him wants to be Jerry Seinfeld. And I think that's what causes something like this to happen, because I think a lot of them are basically hypocrites. And that's basically what happened here. I think he wants attention and fame too much, to where he goes way off the charts to make up something like being like on a helicopter that crashes, and it didn't crash. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, Brian Williams is basically the William Hurt character in broadcast news.
There you go. I wanted to avoid that because that's a real insult. But I mean, maybe.
But it is in a way. And remember the great line in broadcast news. William Hurt says to Holly Hunter, who of course is the brains behind the operation, and Albert Brooks, who's the guy that's literally feeding stuff into his ear. And at one point, he gets promoted. The William Hurt character gets promoted, and he doesn't even realize it's a promotion. When you get, and he says to Albert Brooks, "What happens when your real life exceeds your dreams?" And Albert Brooks says, "You keep it to yourself." I mean, it's just brilliant. And it's interesting because years ago, a friend of mine who works in a male television anchor, who's a real news guy, a real journalist who's an anchor, but he told me about female TV anchors, and he goes, "You have to remember, most of them wanted to be actresses or beauty pageant winners. Now, there's some that are real journalists," and he goes, "So they're just as crazy as actresses." And it's the same thing with the anchors. And as you said with Brian Williams, he's always a guy, he wanted to be on Saturday Night Live. I mean, he likes doing all that stuff that the Edward R. Murrows and Walter Cronkite's, Walter Cronkite wasn't gabbing it up with Johnny Carson back in the day, you know. So you're right, and they get into this mode where they are entertainers and they like getting the laughs, they like playing to the crowd. And I always liked Brian Williams. I thought he was a pretty likable television presence. Yeah. And the thing about it is, he didn't have to do this. The story he could have told would have been harrowing enough. Hey, we landed and the chopper ahead of us had been under fire.
That's what makes it really scary. You bring up broadcast news now, and I'm thinking when Holly Hunter first realizes that William Hurt edited in himself crying in that interview, and how appalled she is, and do you think he's on that? I mean, listen, what's worse, editing in yourself crying, which is in a made-up movie? Like maybe it's based on somebody, I'm sure it is, but we're lying about being in a helicopter crash. And I think the helicopter lie is worse than what William Hurt does in that movie. Like, the most despicable thing William Hurt does in broadcast news is not as bad as what Brian Williams did here.
Yeah, especially because you're talking about troops. And even I've seen some troops say, some soldiers say, this is even an insult to the soldiers who have been, there's been soldiers who have been killed. Of course, many. Journalists who have been killed covering wars, going all the way back to World War II, and Ernie Pyle and all these great legends. So, there are even a lot of, military personnel are insulted on the behalf of the journalists who have been with them when they've been under fire. And also making it worse is, this is something that's been going on for 10 or 15 years. If he had told a story once and said, you know what, I embellished it, I got caught up in the moment on Letterman or something, but he kept telling it. And he kept embellishing it. He had to have known when he went to bed at night, in the dark of night when you face your conscience. You and I know a little bit about that, Artie. When you have you have those moments where it's just you in the dark, it's just you and yourself. You know that you're effing lying at that point.
Oh, God.
He can't, to say I misremembered or I got caught up. Not over a 13-year period.
No, and not about a helicopter crashing. That's not embellishing. that's like you're out of your mind and you need help. Another movie you bring to mind too, The Insider, about the 60 Minutes scandal with Brian Williamson. Al Pacino's character, Lowell Gans, I believe, right? Is it Lowell Gans? He's the producer of those pieces. And Mike Wallace, who really is a guy who put himself in harm's way and blah, 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 and is considered, not your pretty face, obviously. He looked like someone tried to put out a fire with a pair of cleats on his face. But he even looked shallow in that movie. I always thought that Mike Wallace took a big hit in that movie, The Insider, because Pacino has the integrity to quit at the end. And that doesn't even, Lowell Bergman's his name, right? Lowell Bergman is, I don't want to get the guy's name wrong. But Lowell Bergman has the decency to quit, which is the most integrity thing you could do. And Mike Wallace is like, no, let's just move on to the next bullshit thing. And I don't know, it makes them all take a hit to me. Like Bill O'Reilly to me on some level has got to be a hypocrite. Glenn Beck used to be a Z Morning Zoo guy, like in St. Louis, and he just latched onto something that makes him a bunch of money,
Well, here's the thing. You look at a lot of these guys, and look, a lot of them do good work. Bill Riley was on Inside Edition back in the day. Even guys like Mike Wallace. Mike Wallace did celebrity interview shows back in the day. Edward R. Murrow did celebrity. A lot of them do come from kind of a hybrid of news and entertainment. Dan Rather's another guy who took a big hit with the whole George W. Bush thing and his National Guard service.
Right.
He didn't. But Dan Rather was another guy who, even though he became kind of fodder for humor, had been a serious journalist for a long time and really would embed himself. So there's always with television. There's always that kind of hybrid between you got to be a great journalist and you got to be a great entertainer. And unfortunately, great entertainer sometimes wins out. And, with Brian Williams, he's taking himself off the air. To me, it's not like the guy can't have another career, but I don't think it can be as the prime anchor for a network newscast.
Yeah. Well, real quick, and then I want to get Sue Costello has a question. So, but gun to anybody's head, you think full of truth serum. Brian Williams said, "Would you rather be what you are, Brian Williams, or Jimmy Fallon?" He'd rather be Jimmy Fallon, don't you think so?
Yeah, absolutely. It always goes that way. You know how it works. Athletes want to be rappers. Rappers want to be athletes. Paul Newman told a story years ago when he was visiting, I think it was Jimmy Carter at the White House, and all Jimmy Carter wanted to talk about was movies, and all Paul Newman wanted to talk about was politics.
Right. And you're right. So it's a great American disease. They want to be something they're not. I want to be a hand model. It's just not going to happen.
Shaquille O'Neal's averaging 25 points and 12 rebounds a game, and he wants to play a genie in a movie.
Well, he loves comedy, too. He's a big comedian guy. Speaking of great comedians, Sue Costello, go ahead. You got a question?
First of all, I was going to say, all comedians want to be rock stars, and all rock stars
I
want
would.
to be comedians.
I'd rather be Brian Johnson of AC/DC any day of the week.
I want to be a rapper.
Speaking as a crazy actress, no, I'm joking. He did say all actresses are crazy.
Yeah, well.
No, I said that somebody else said that.
Oh, somebody else. Okay.
I'll say it. All actors are crazy.
Now he's embellishing his story. No, I was moving my hand because I agree with everything that you said. That's what I said. I said that Brian Williams could have another career if he just admitted to what he did and saved himself now instead of burying himself more and more.
Every time he talks, he seems to bury himself more. Well, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Joe, go ahead.
Artie, I was going to say, and Richard also, don't you think a journalist lying is similar to like a songwriter or a comedian stealing? I mean, to escalate their career. Once you do it a couple times and it works, he's probably been doing it for years, and then it finally got busted.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah,
that's a great point. And we are hearing some other stories from did he embellish his experiences in Katrina? He told a story about getting robbed at gunpoint in the 70s, and people are saying in that neighborhood people would let their kids walk out of the house at midnight. Not saying these are all untrue, but you make a great point. Usually if someone's going to tell that big of a lie over that course of a period of time, it can't be the only time in his career. And as a journalist, before I got into mostly doing entertainment stuff, I was a city-side reporter here in Chicago for the Sun-Times, covering crime, covering, trials and stuff like that. And I can tell you, your credibility is all you have. The famous Chicago City News Bureau comment that, is echoed all the way back to the front page. If your mother says she loves you, check it out. Get a second source on that.
Right, yeah. No, I mean, listen, it is, you're right. All you have is your word in that career, and then once that goes, you're done.
It's also like what you guys said earlier. He didn't need to do it. Like I always find I'm a stand-up comedian also. The guys that steal jokes to escalate their career, usually they didn't need to. They were talented enough to do their own.
Well, sometimes some guys need to. But you're right about that.
No one's ever gotten like Robin Williams, who had that reputation. He didn't need to.
Maybe he did though. Maybe listen, Robin Williams. Most comics know this, and here's what was so sad when Robin Williams and even Joan Rivers, when both of them died, they quoted their best jokes in the paper, and almost every comedian realizes someone else wrote every one of them. Mm-hmm. Robin Williams had the conduit, the ability to say it, but he stole 80% probably of what he had.
But that's true. These guys could just, first of all, you're Robin Williams, hire the people who you think are telling these great jokes.
Well, he would do it in a weird way. He would do it after the fact. Like, he would steal stuff, and when he got accused, he would go like, here's money. Supposedly he had to pay like 50 comics off for that. that Metropolitan Opera thing in 1986.
But it's all ego and desperation is what we're talking about. It's the same thing as stealing money. Somebody could work for the MBTA and take a little money, and the next thing you know, they're taking a little more.
Well,
and they're
for a
taking
comedian,
a little more.
that is stealing money. But material is money.
But
Right.
did Brian Williams have that reputation amongst journalists where they knew he was doing it and it was making them mad?
I don't think he would have gotten away with it.
He really didn't. I mean, I don't know him well at all, but I mean, he wasn't someone people always go like, watch this guy, or I don't know how this guy's still failing upward. He didn't have that reputation. But to go back to your guys' point about talented people that don't have to do this, there's a really good movie from about 10 years ago called Shattered Glass that didn't do as well as it should have. But it was about that kid Stephen Glass who wrote all those amazing articles for the New Republic that turned out to be complete fiction,
right?
Complete and utter fiction. And he took down a whole publication, and his career, went away. But just watching Aiden Christensen actually plays the guy. Just watching him in the movie, how he just keeps embellishing, and very, very talented, experienced editors and publishers and other journalists. They wanted to believe this stuff was true, so they really wouldn't look into it until it was really presented with them that it wasn't true.
Well, it's like that book, A Million Little Pieces by James Fry or whatever.
Yeah.
This guy, him and that guy Glass, they were great writers anyway. Just call A Million Little Pieces a novel.
Because we could get into the fact that it's self-sabotage.
Yeah.
That's a deeper thing that's going on. They're
I
taking
guess, but
themselves out
I'm
of
just
the
saying
game.
these guys are great writers anyway, and that goes back to Joe's point. That's examples of people who didn't have to do it. Just say I'm making it up, and
James Fry. James Fry's actually, he was a bartender here in Chicago, and he wrote that piece. And all he had to say at the beginning of it was, some of the characters here are composites, some of the details have been changed in the spirit of protecting the identities of other addicts, et cetera, et cetera. Most of this is true, but some of and people have done that with books going back to Hunter S. Thompson's days, and
Right.
all he had to do was put that on the leading page, and instead, he told it all as his own story. Then Oprah brings him out there, and then a year later, Oprah trots him out for the worst public flogging I've ever seen.
Oh my
in
God!
my
Yeah,
life.
you can't insult Oprah. That's the worst media mistake you can make.
Can you
He
imagine-
offended Oprah.
Imagine if you're in the studio audience. Of course, Oprah, filmed here for taped here forever. Imagine if you're in the studio audience for Oprah and you're in line going, I wonder if this is going to be the Favorite Things show or Tom Cruise, and you get to see her yell at James Fry.
Oh,
for
she
an
just
hour.
abused him. She browbeat him. You're right. That was the funniest part about the whole situation.
But that speaks to the self-sabotage. That's what I'm talking about. But these people unconsciously taking their lives down without even knowing. So they're not conscious enough to say, I can't do this, because it's the unconscious taking them down.
But
And that's
yeah, no, I hear you. Sometimes they can't control themselves. But you're right. In Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, the character of his lawyer, he said like that's a few different guys, right? And that's how he got away with it.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, I always wondered about that lawyer guy. I was like, why didn't that guy just sue him? Because he called out a novel. Right?
Look at it this way, guys. Bob Woodward has written, so many books after All the President's Men, and he leads off one of his books about Bill and Hillary Clinton, saying Bill and Hillary Clinton were in bed. Hillary thought this. Bill said that. Unless Woodward was sitting between them in bed, he's projecting there, and he says, it's based on conversations and interviews. But Woodward's smart enough to say at the beginning of his book, some of these conversations have been recreated based on interviews I conducted with the participants. In some cases, it's paraphrasing.
Well,
you got to cover your tracks before you go forward with that type of journalism.
In 1984, I read Wired by Bob Woodward about Belushi, and my God, he made Belushi to be just a complete animal, just a pig that never did anything creative, and he got in a lot of trouble with Aykroyd, and like the movie that was made, like Aykroyd wouldn't let other people work on his movies if they worked on Wired, and I'm sure some of it was true, but my God, it was the worst, most unsympathetic book about Belushi I'd ever seen in my life.
Yeah, actually, Jim Belushi even had a great line at the time. He said something like, "I don't even know if the Watergate Hotel exists," based on what he wrote about my brother.
Well, listen, it's just he left out, God knows what was true and what wasn't, or what was embellished or what wasn't. But he just left out none of the good stuff that a person that creative had to have about them.
Absolutely.
It was disappointing.
Well, I used to do a stand-up joke just about that phrase at the top of a movie when it says "based on a true story."
And anything else doesn't be meaningless.
I used to say you could do a movie about my dad if you're just basing it on truth. You could say he won 3 world wars.
Right. Yeah,
playing Denzel Washington as Joe's dad.
Well, that's
Look what's been happening. Look what's been happening this year with American Sniper and Selma and all these other movies. And I'm like, to me, I know it's a serious subject, especially with Sniper and Selma, but like I laugh because it happens every single year. And I'm like, folks, these are not nominated for Best Documentary, and even documentaries can really be slanted, but they're 2-hour fictional pieces. They're going to embellish. They're going to change things around. The great line was William Goldman for Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, where he started his screenplay by saying, "Not that it matters, but some of this is true."
I thought most of what follows is true.
Most of what follows is true.
I was just going to bring that up. It's so funny. I was going to say that the most vague, best one ever is most of what follows is true.
and David O. Russell did the same thing with American Hustle. He did the same sort of caveat at the beginning.
That's supposed to be almost complete bullshit, American Hustle, right?
I think you just helped me with the bit. I think I'm going to say that Brian Williams' news story should start with the following news stories are
or
based.
most of what follows is true. I was on a helicopter. That's it.
You mentioned Denzel Washington. There's a guy who's been going around the country for about the last 15 years, and I guess he's got a great case, basically saying that Remember the Titans is about 95% fiction. The movie about Denzel being the first black coach in the South.
That movie sucked.
And this guy, I guess, played for him, and he makes the point. He goes, he was kind of a terrible coach. He got fired the next year. They were only 500. They didn't win the state.
God.
So every time the real life coach is still out there, and of course he's now made a living as the motivational speaker, the star, and then this guy will show up and give like another speech saying, "Never happened."
That'd be great if Stephen Hawking just came out walking perfectly fine and said, "I don't know what people are talking about. It's a good movie, but..." He comes out and he's like on the uneven bars.
I used to like DVDs when everyone back in the day, you would all buy the DVD and you'd watch the featurette. And if the featurette was similar to the movie, you were like, this is good. Like if you watch Rudy and then you watch the featurette documentary, it's almost the same shit.
I always say with DVDs, the perfect DVD set for a party is all three Godfathers. You watch 1 and 2 and you do coke off of 3.
Can I tell you guys a quick Rudy story real fast, though? And it is, it's basically...
Please tell me that's bullshit.
That Rudy guy has made a whole, career out of being Rudy, and he's been involved in a few dealings that weren't, 100% great for everybody involved in car dealerships and stuff. But one of my best friends is Chris Zorich, who of course played on the Notre Dame national championship team back in the late '80s. Played for Lou Holtz, and he told this great story. They did this big anniversary celebration. I don't know, it was the 100th year of Notre Dame football, or whatever. And they were picking Notre Dame greats through the history of Notre Dame to show up at the stadium. And Chris goes, so we're waiting to go on the field, and he goes, it's me, Tim Brown, Joe Montana, and freaking Rudy.
No way.
With his jersey on, acting like he's one of the all-time.
Oh, God.
And Chris is the nicest guy in the world, but he goes, one play. One play.
And the
He's
kid...
wearing his jersey next to Joe Montana wearing his Notre Dame.
It's great to watch Rudy to see how fat Jon Favreau was. And if it wasn't for Lord of the Rings, that Rudy guy wouldn't have a career either. But
didn't Rudy go to jail almost for something recently?
There was some sort of pyramid type scheme. Rudy.
Speaking of bullshit, hey, all right, so let's talk. You mentioned the movies. Let's talk. Listen, man, Theory of Everything. I saw that, and that movie really affected me. Is there any way you don't give that guy the Oscar? That's insane what he did in that movie.
Yeah, Eddie Redmayne's a great actor, and of course the Academy loves those performances. Whether it's Daniel Day-Lewis in My Left Foot, they love the performances where that physical transformation.
Yeah.
So it's pretty great. I thought up until about 2 weeks ago that Michael Keaton was going to win for Birdman because he's such a popular actor, and it was like kind of one of those career crowning roles. But now Eddie Redmayne seems to be getting all the momentum, and I think he's actually going to win Best Actor.
Yeah. So an American Sniper and all the bullshit going around that. Do you have any thoughts politically on that?
Well, I think everybody just projected their political views onto that. You could say it's anti-war, it's pro-war, it's pro-American, it's anti-Islam. First of all, I thought Bradley Cooper was really good.
Yeah.
I actually met and interviewed the real Chris Kyle when he had the book coming out, American Sniper.
Right.
And I'm telling you, man, Bradley Cooper, it wasn't an impersonation, but he really captured the guy.
Yeah.
And, I think if you see the film, to say that it's some sort of, pro-war thing, I'm like, really? Because it's a lot about him coming home and barely being able to relate to his wife and kids and then helping these wounded veterans. They weren't exactly all, high-fiving in the streets when they got home. It was more like, wow, we're home and nobody even cares what we were over there fighting about.
Oh, and the irony with this whole thing is, that one of them that he was trying to help ends up killing him after he survives, fighting this enemy. And now that history has shown us it was all for nothing. It was literally a waste of everything.
Yeah, well, you go back and you look at all the films about the Vietnam War. You look at The Deer Hunter or something like that, and the same thing. And now, history tells us we never should have been over there in the first place.
I was over there for 8 days, and I don't want to be Brian Williams here, but I was over there for 8 days doing stand-up. That took me 6 months to get over, being there for 8 days. What happens to these motherfuckers? I could imagine having to decide whether or not to kill a fucking kid. But these guys are warriors. I've told the story before when I was up in the helicopter and the Marine, I said to the Marine, he wanted me to shoot the gun and I couldn't hit a mountain. And because the kick was so bad. And I said to the Marine, what if I accidentally kill a kid, a Taliban kid? And he said, Hitler was 10 years old, wasn't he once?
Well, you got to remember.
I was like, that's the kind of guy you need over there, I guess.
You have to be. And the soldier's job is not to question the politics. And, if the kid's got a weapon or an explosive device, well, an adult put that in the kid's hand. And, you go back to World War II, which everybody talks about, the good war and the last noble war. Think about all the soldiers that were fighting in the Pacific Theater after Hitler was basically done,
right.
and Japan wouldn't give up. That's why we dropped 2 bombs.
I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing that made Truman just an evil, bottom line motherfucker. Not the first bomb, that second bomb. The second one was like, guys, we're not messing around. I mean, another 100,000 just eradicated,
Hey, Richard, I got a quick question because Artie, you just brought up the, what happened and how he got killed, the American sniper character.
Yeah.
But they leave that out of the movie because it's still a pending.
It's a legal thing. Yeah.
Legal thing. So it's just the movie just ends out of nowhere, and I'm like. Once again, you're not allowed to embellish something.
But everybody knows the ending. Though.
I actually didn't because I'm a fucking idiot.
You didn't hear that whole story?
I did. I knew some of the story. Did not know how he died. I knew he died. All I saw on People magazine, about 3 weeks ago, I saw something that said widower or widow.
All that was on the cover on page 6 of the New York Post for months was that guy getting shot and the relationship between Sue Costello and Dean Edwards.
Hold on, I have a question. Denzel Washington's considered.
It's debated him. But even in Dorchester, he's white.
But to me, you're up for best movie, and you got no ending.
Both of those. Well, that's actually a pretty common dramatic device, though. I mean, you go back to even a movie like Lincoln. And of course, I think most people know, spoiler alert, that Abe didn't die of old age in the 1870s. But
that's how you know you're in a movie with dumb people when he gets shot and goes, damn!
Yeah. I mean, the truth is, they started developing that movie. Spielberg was attached to it for a long time, and Chris Kyle was involved, and Bradley Cooper was, basing it obviously on conversation he had with Chris. And then Eastwood decided to go a different way. I mean, as a critic, I don't think he needed to show him going to the shooting range and then, helping a guy out, and then a guy comes up from behind and shoots him in the head. I mean, they did go to, at the end of the movie, they went to real-life footage of the memorial service for Chris Kyle. And the endless parade of, police officers and military from around the country who just went to pay tribute to him. And I thought, in a way, that was almost more effective because the last scene you see is Bradley Cooper as Chris Kyle, his wife looking at him and realizing he's found a purpose. He's going to help veterans, and he'll be home later that night. And that to me made it almost more heartbreaking because he's not coming home.
Well, ever since Clint Eastwood talked to that chair at the Republican convention, everyone knows his politics. So I think maybe more so than the movie. I think people are reacting to Clint Eastwood, in obviously.
That's absolutely true. And hey, can I go back to the theory of everything?
Go ahead, yeah.
This is one of the things that I've always said about Stephen Hawking, who's one of the geniuses of all time. But and I gave a speech last week, and I told people this. I said, there's the thing. I go, that movie also, because it is based on true events, is a classic demonstration of why men are the worst. Because Stephen Hawking, he can move nothing. He has to do everything through a straw.
I know.
And he still cheats on his wife with the babe who's taking care of him. He still steps out on his wife, who stuck with him through the whole part.
Yeah.
Who, when they were in college, said, I don't care what's going to happen to you. I'll be with you. And she's beautiful, and she's supportive. And it doesn't matter. The only other woman in his life.
He's basically Bill Cosby in a wheelchair.
She's amazing. He has to sit her down and go, I'm seeing someone else.
I'm
and
going.
She's like, What, in the next room? That's the only place you ever go.
Listen, honey, I'm not allowing. Bad news. You're not allowed to come to America and wipe my ass and clean my fucking face. Another hot chick is doing it.
Yeah, I want to thank you for extracting my sperm some way so that we could have children together.
As long as we have a dick.
For giving up your entire life for me.
Yeah.
But hey, Nurse Betty's my new squeeze.
And the nurse looks like a stripper in the movie.
That goes back to my favorite saying. When everybody asks me what's my favorite quote of my entire life, don't become your boyfriend's mother. Then he has to find a girlfriend.
That's so true.
Well, I like Richard Pryor's better. Where I don't know why bitches is always complaining. I got half the money and all the pussy.
I saw that movie a while ago, but I thought that she started bailing on him before he started
She
cheating.
thought about it, but the movie makes her look like a saint. This woman, because she and the guy become attracted to each other, but the guy clearly who she was trying to hang out with, he doesn't even have a dick, because he's like he's the only guy who wouldn't fuck her in that situation. They both said goodbye to each other.
Yeah, the kindly dashing choir instructor at the local church falls in love with her. She says, "I can't do that."
The dashing choir instructor.
She was mentally cheating, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's worse.
Listen, if I had a dime for every time a chick probably mentally cheated on me.
You can't date a guy.
I'd rather my wife just bang another guy than just like a guy and want to be with him for a really long amount of time.
I mean, like if a chick is willing to fuck me, like what my competition is basically every man who's breathing.
What if she let him eat her ass?
While her head's on the stove. Yeah, what do you think of I don't know if you saw the scene in Girls where Brian Williams. Do you think Brian Williams' karma is paying by his daughter getting her ass eaten out in the episode of Girls?
It's amazing what they'll show on these television shows.
It is amazing.
And they go into this whole thing about how she wore some sort of device or whatever. And I'm like, okay, but that guy's head is still buried in her ass.
Yeah. That guy's not wearing a device. It's his head.
What a great acting part. I want to know, how do you get that audition?
Oh, dude. You know how many times I would get the scripts for the Norm show and I had to read what I had to do for that, and then all of a sudden this guy's you're eating out Marnie's ass in scene 1.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Can we start rehearsal tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm sure the guy was like, okay, who do I make the check out to? I won't have to get paid for this role.
Yeah, and you're getting paid for it. And you're probably going to get residuals.
That's why 1 million guys take acting class.
What?
Is that a pube?
What happened?
Where? Where'd you find it?
On the sandwich.
I don't know. My God. Might be. Dan, you jerking off on the sandwich again?
Again.
Look.
I don't know.
Don't show Artie that. He gets
Throw it
really
out.
creeped out by strange
See, I won't
hair.
eat for 3 weeks now. That's good. Sue just found one of my pubic hairs on one of the sandwiches. Listen, I really like food. That food is like my Allison Williams. All right, real quick, I'll let you go. Give me best picture. Give us what do you think's gonna win?
I think Boyhood's still going to win Best Picture.
You like that? Are you saying that
yeah.
because it will happen, or because you think it's the best picture?
I think it's both. I mean, it's a pretty remarkable feat to do this over like a 12-year period. I talked to Richard Linklater, who's a great director.
I love him, yeah.
And you know what, Artie, you're going to love this. His next movie is about college baseball players in the 1980s, and I have no idea why, but
Really?
it's Richard Linklater, so you know it's going to be interesting. Yeah.
Well, he was a baseball player. He almost made it to the pros.
Oh,
which
no kidding.
I
I
heard
don't
him
know.
interviewed recently. I couldn't believe that he was the most nerdy director who was very, very athletic.
Well,
Those
Dazed and
two-
Confused, right? The School of Rock and all
So
that.
it sounds like this will be his, Bull Durham. But I said to him at the time, because he started with, those two kid actors, and one is his daughter. And I said, what would happen if, the kids sucked 5 years into it, if they were horrible actors, or one of them got killed in a car crash? And he goes, I would have had to stop making the movie. He goes, it wasn't 12 Years a Slave. I couldn't just sign them and say you have to do this.
Wow, that's yes. So it's like the domestic family version of Hoop Dreams, which I just watched again. I didn't know how tragic those kids' lives became in Hoop Dreams. That the one kid's father was killed in a supposed hit.
Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't know how to. And the one kid was from Cabrini Green, and I don't know. I felt bad hearing how that all turned out. That's 20. That's 20 years ago already. Hoop Dream.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's more often the case than the Derrick Rose stories out of the South Side where the kid does well. I mean, there's been so many here. I mean, years ago, Ben Wilson was the #1 high school prospect in the country, and he got shot. There's a 30-30 ESPN documentary about that.
That's sad, man. Wasted talent. It's 1 in a billion, and that happens. Well, listen, Richard, thanks, man. I hope you come on again, maybe after the Oscars or something. We'll talk more. But you're always great. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Great talking to you, Artie. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Great, Richard Roper. And so when we come back, Rod from Bayside has some new calls. He made some press. We'll wrap it up with that. Hey, all right, welcome back to the Artie Lang Uncensored at artiequitter.com podcast. Sue Costello is our special guest, the wonderful, lovely, and talented Sue Costello. But Sue, do you have any plugs you want to say now? And then we'll say them at the end, too.
Yeah, because I'm headlining the Cutting Room on March 7th.
Great place, headlining the Cutting Room in Manhattan.
Manhattan.
Okay, where is that?
It's on 32nd Street between Park and Madison.
I've been there. It's a great place. Okay.
It's a great room.
Now, what's the date?
March 7th.
Check that out.
Can you say park again?
10 p.m.
Pack.
Packy
Pack a cat.
It's a weird thing. I like chicks with accents. No matter how bad or good it is, I always like.
I love
Oh, that's what I forgot to tell you. The guy with the dick pics?
Yeah.
I knew he was mentally unstable.
So, of course he is.
No, I really knew he
sending you
was-
a picture of his erect penis.
He was really mentally unstable because he said that my accent was sexy.
No, I don't think that's mentally unstable.
Listen, if you're hot, your accent is
Hold on.
Sue's an adorable girl, of course. Everything she's sexy. I mean, if you look like me, you're not sexy.
Artie, she
if
just
you
said
look like
wasn't-
her, you're sexy. What the fuck?
She
is
just
that?
called me mentally unstable. I literally just said she had a nice accent, so she called me fucking
She's
crazy.
trying
No.
to be self-deprecating. It's very hard from Sue. 'Cause
No,
she's
I'm
actually
pretty
very,
sure.
very cocky. It's a hard thing.
Do you feel like I'm mentally unstable because I complimented your dumb accent?
No, I
There's
feel like
way more reasons you're mentally unstable.
Joe Rogan makes fun of it.
Well, Joe's a Boston guy, though, right?
I know.
Well, no, he's also a Jersey guy, Joe. So maybe, but he got rid of. You do have it pronounced, but that's all right.
He's
Who
like,
cares?
imagine having sex with her. I'm like, yeah, keep imagining, Joe.
Wow.
I like every accent except for a South Philly chick accent. They sound horrible.
Well, listen, that Philly thing with the O's is a little hard to get.
What you mean?
Ooh. Over. You don't have. You just
what
talk.
do
You
you
talk like a black guy. I mean, black guys are. They have the same accent no matter where they're from.
No, he has like a white guy accent.
Jesus.
He does?
Yeah.
I don't think you've been listening.
No, you talk like a black guy. Like I talk like an Italian guy from Newark. That's what I am. I talk like Joe Pesci or Tony Soprano. I don't think like black guys in Compton talk like black guys in Harlem.
You
think there's a
I see what
difference?
you're saying. I don't think it is.
White guys, some Italian
think-
white guys, Italian Irish guys in Philly that have the O like over.
Oh, yeah. Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Oh, that
say
shit. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
T.O., man.
That can be
Eagles,
very-
birds.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
That's very annoying, man. That's very annoying. I'd rather talk like a black guy. Matter of fact, I've tried it. That gets me a lot of pussy. Speaking of black guys, Rod from Bayside is on the air. Rod, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I'm feeling good as a black guy, actually.
Yeah. See, he sounds like a white guy from Queens or Brooklyn. Rod, you're our prank phone call guy. You got some press with a phone call, dude. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I had prank called Mike Francesa yesterday.
This is great.
and you know, like every time I call him, he always claims that the call doesn't make the air. He always says it's going to
I know, and it always does. We play it here. How would we get it?
Right. So people are starting to make fun of him for that. So a few different sports websites like Bob's Blitz and sportsgrid.com,
Yeah.
they both posted the video of the call and showing that it got through and making fun of Mike Francesa for the call getting through.
I love how that's what we call press nowadays. But that is hilarious. That's great that someone's taking notice of that because doesn't his producer tell him, Mike, I don't know how to break this to you, but it got through and you sound like an idiot. Stop saying that. Stop saying that. It's not getting through. It's getting through. So, yeah, I got the article here. Another day, another Artie Lang, Mike Francesa prank call to listen to over and over. Mike Francesa is the real-life equivalent of the guy who Billy Madison and his buddies give flaming bags of dog poop to. Watching his reaction to prank calls, which is usually to say he's not fazed by prank calls, over and over again, is its own form of entertainment. He will always call the shit poop in the parlance of the comparison above. It's a live television program where chaos enthusiasts get to inject some off-topic, off-color moments into Mike's formulaic monotonous program. Kevin in Manhattan, before I make my Dolan point, my James Dolan point, I have to call you out for something you said earlier to Brian.
But you're going to give away the punchline for the actual call, though, if you read that.
Oh, wow. This is the call that you made later.
Yeah, he's quoting like the transcript of the actual call.
Kevin in Manhattan.
Yeah, that was me.
All right. Okay, we'll listen to that. Okay, thanks. All right, I don't want to. All right, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna have that call. You got 4 new calls for us.
I have 3 calls, and I have 1 song parody from DMX. Since you guys kept talking about that Up in Here song.
Oh, okay. All right. So you got 3 calls. The last call's Francesa.
Right.
All right, we'll make that the finale. Explain the first call is Joe Matarici's real voice.
Yeah, it's Joe Matarici's real voice. I mean, I love Joe on the show. I think he's a hilarious guy. But as we know, his sports knowledge isn't always up to par. So during your Super Bowl podcast, he was asking you pretty ridiculous questions about your bets.
Okay.
So I used that as a basis for the call, and Joe always has to leave early, so that's part of the call.
And who do you call?
It's the DA show. It's on CBS Sports New York.
Okay. All right. Let's hear that.
Joe is next up in Philadelphia. He's listening on the TuneIn app. What's going on, Joe?
How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
And here's another quick question as you're continuing. It's got to be made field goals. It can't just be an attempt, right?
What do you mean?
I got to go mid-segment. My son gets off the bus at 3:45. JoeMatarice.com has my Twitter and Facebook.
I think we had a crossed signal there because we weren't talking about field goals. Very interesting.
That made no sense. Did you just call the guy and told him you had to leave mid-segment? Play that. Can you play that one more time?
Oh, that's good.
What the fuck?
That's good.
Joe is next up in Philadelphia. He's listening on the TuneIn app. What's going on, Joe?
How do you react to this?
How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
And here's another quick question as you're continuing. It's got to be made field goals. It can't just be an attempt, right?
What do you mean?
I got to go mid-segment. My son gets off the bus at 3:45. JoeMatarice.com has my Twitter and Facebook.
I think we had a crossed signal there because we weren't talking about field goals. Very interesting.
You got your plug. What's the guy's show? You got your plug out on the DA show.
Oh, that's
What
so
show
good.
is that?
Oh, gosh.
You got your plug out on the DA show. My God.
Sue, you know what a field goal is, right? You know what a field goal is, right?
I know what a field goal
Yeah,
is.
she's a
yes.
big Pats fan.
I'm a big,
Oh, yeah,
I'm
big
a sports
okay,
fan.
cool.
What? Okay, what's the second call?
The second call is Jody Mack. He used to fill in for you on.
I know Jody Mack. I love Jody Mack. Yeah, Jody McDonald.
So I took clips of himself, and I prank called him with clips of himself, and see if he would answer the question.
Go ahead. All right.
Joey from Manhattan's on line 2. Hello, Joey.
How are you?
Good, you?
I know the Nets are in the playoff mix as of right now, but are they going to move Brook Lopez?
If they could, yes. If they got exactly what they wanted, yes.
What an idiot.
That's funny.
Is that all?
Yeah, well, no, he goes on for 2 minutes answering the question. But I had to cut it off because it was just him blabbering on about how Brook Lopez is like Timothy Mozgov.
What are the dogs?
What?
What are those dogs?
I don't know. I have no clue.
Was that at his house? Was that at Rob's house?
There's a bunch of dogs that start barking right after the calls. Do you know that?
No.
I think he's
Is that coming out of your computer?
Well, that's where the audio's coming from.
Oh, I know what that is because Dan's playing it from my SoundCloud, so it goes to the next clip sometimes automatically.
Oh.
And what is the dogs?
Well, I made a call to the voicemail saying that Dan was at the dog park harassing dogs.
During a gang fight.
Oh my God, this is packed. There's a bunch of explaining needed with these phones. All right, so now this is the Francesa call.
No, it was the DMX parody was up next.
All right. Okay, now do we need to know anything about this?
Well, you guys were talking a lot about that DMX song that you like. You never know the words, but
You're gonna make me lose my mind.
So I just changed the chorus around a little bit.
All right.
Dan's gonna take it in his ass, up his rear, up his rear. Dan's gonna fill up that tub, bubble bath. What a queer. Dan's gonna make that shoot the goo, up his rear, up his rear. Dan's gonna take all that spooch, up his rear, up his rear.
Oh my God.
The dude's a
That's
genius.
great.
Right. I don't want to say it, but I'm pretty sure you're a genius.
Dan even loves it.
Dan takes a lot of that. Well, I mean, again, I was going to defend Dan, but then the girls talk today. I mean, what do you say?
I mean,
What? Now, how long did it take you to do that? You're a regular Dr. Dre. You're a
that
regular
was-
Jimmy Iovine.
I just had to find a word that rhymes with here, and I found out that rear rhymes with it pretty well.
And,
then I
and
go,
queer
"Damn,
was right
take
around the
it."
corner. Yeah. I mean, when you're making a gay parody song and you need a here rhyme.
Did you need a thesaurus for that?
A gay thesaurus. There are gay thesauruses specifically for gay songs.
Or a rhyming dictionary? Is that what they're called? A rhyming dictionary?
Well, every good rapper has a rhyming dictionary. Well, that's a good job. We'll be looking out for the next Grammys. By the way, did anyone watch the Grammys? I've never felt so old. Besides AC/DC.
What about Annie Lennox?
I didn't see her. I turned it off
she's
long
so
before that.
talented.
I was
Oh my
teasing it the whole
gosh.
time, but she was really good.
She's
What did she do?
talented.
Well, I know
sang
she's
with
always been
Hozier.
talented.
But she sang with Hozier, and she was just.
Who's Hozier?
They sing "Take Me to the Church."
Oh, yeah, the church
which is
song.
really
I didn't know the name of it.
about sex. And my mother was like, "I like this. Take me to the
Did you
church."
first hear that song while your head was on the stove?
No, he didn't have a radio.
He didn't have a radio.
No. He didn't have a
I like this
radio.
black guy. I'm telling you, I like him. I
He
don't know.
only had a stove and
dick.
porno.
And dick.
Okay.
That's funny.
Look, have you been listening, Art? Is your head up your ass? He had a stove and porno. But I never, you just feel old. I feel older and older after every goddamn fucking.
Barry Gibb was like the only person I knew.
Well, it's funny watching all these people. I know who Pharrell is. I know, obviously, what the chick from Halftime at Super Bowl.
Katy Perry.
Katy Perry. And they're all watching AC/DC sing, and just the look on their face.
What about Kristen Wiig? She did that interpretive dance for Sia.
See, I didn't
That
see
was cool.
You listen, I mean-
ELO was on there. ELO did a performance on there.
Electric Light
Madonna
Orchestra?
was
they were
on. You
good.
know who
I
Madonna
like
is?
ELO.
What did Madonna do?
She sang some song and made everybody get up and clap.
Her song?
Yeah, she
Madonna was like Betty White when she was performing.
Yeah, she's got.
Ed Sheeran, the kid Ed Sheeran.
I mean, how old's Madonna these
Multiply.
days?
Madonna's probably
fucking song is great.
52.
56.
56.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Wow.
She looked great.
And
I
how
think.
old's AC/DC? Angus Young is still doing the leg kick. Angus Young's still in the schoolboy uniform. Angus Young has got to be 70.
I missed the first half hour. Did he have that on?
Okay, wait a minute. Let's figure this out. AC/DC, yeah, they played Highway to Hell.
Right.
They opened. It's an amazing. They were amazing. They destroyed.
Yeah.
They played some new song and then they played Highway to Hell, and he really pronounced "season ticket."
Did he?
Not that he heard the show, but I'm
Probably
saying,
heard the show.
Oh, he heard the show.
season ticket, like almost like phonetically. He pronounced. We were having a discussion. The song "Highway to Hell." The second lyric is "season ticket on a one-way ride." If you read it, but in the Bon Scott in the studio version says she's a nigger on a one-way ride. I guarantee it. I guarantee it.
I wasn't in. You should have saw my face.
And he-
Jaw
I
dropping
played it for
like,
Chris.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, he dropped that's a nigga. right
Yeah,
there. I
she's
know a nigga when
on
I
a
hear
one-way.
nigga.
And but they did it live, and he said "season ticket," very pronounced. But so AC/DC's first album, help me out here, Joe, was probably 75, 74, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Danny, look that up. So so they were probably 22. That's 40. They're probably mid 60s, 62, 63. He's a 63-year-old guy. He's got the schoolboy outfit on. He's doing the leg kick. But watching him play guitar is just so fucking cool.
Oh, he's amazing.
Beck won everything. How did you feel about that? Are you
I
okay?
love
I
the
like
way he
Beck.
handled Kanye. I love the way he handled.
Oh, Kanye was
Kanye.
fucking around with it, though.
But he
it
handled
was
Kanye.
funny.
His response was so classy, and he didn't give him any play. He said because Kanye rushed the stage and said that. And then
As a
afterwards-
goof?
Well,
No,
and
he
then
was fucking
afterwards,
around. He was fucking
no,
around.
but then afterwards he said that
I would hope he doesn't do that again.
he did though, because then
He
afterwards
did,
he
yeah,
said
exactly.
that he should leave.
Who
the
should have won
artistry.
this time? What black
Beyonce.
guy? What black guy should have won?
Beyonce. He's saying Beyonce should have
Over
won.
Beck?
Yes.
For what? Record of the year
Yes,
or something?
album
How
of the
many,
year.
how
I
many
mean, Beyonce was a
fucking
huge
records are? How many awards are? There's Record of the Year. There's Single of the Year. There's what the fuck is going on?
I'm gonna say something, and I gotta
There's
say,
Download of the Year.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I am so fucking tired of Stevie Wonder getting a tribute on every fucking award show. It is starting to
Dude,
annoy me.
he's a blind guy who learned how to play the piano. They should
get
give
it.
him a tribute every day.
They
try being a blind
come
guy,
on,
just
fuck
wiping
that.
your ass. You
Fuck
can't
that.
do
After
it.
a while, he's like,
How does a
good
blind? I mean,
50
think about not
tributes
being. Think about
I'm
how
done
hard it
with
is to live life with sight.
Yes.
The guys became a self-made billionaire.
Fuck
genius
him,
piano
Artie.
player.
fuck Stevie.
My wife-
I gotta give it up for Stevie Wonder. And
My
Rachel
wife,
knows.
my wife actually said Reese, she doesn't like Stevie Wonder. She doesn't think his music's that good. I'm like, you're just wrong.
His music in
You're
the
just
70s,
wrong.
his stuff in the 70s is
great.
as good as it comes.
It's great.
Higher Ground, Superstition.
Just put Superstitious on, and you can't fucking
Prince
not
was being a dick
jump
too. Fuck
around.
Prince.
Prince is being a dick.
Prince is being
He was
Prince.
He was all right. Prince is being Prince. That's all it was.
He's being Prince.
I think one of the things when you see Prince, you're like, Prince is Prince, but it's nothing. You know what it is? It's like I understand. I love Stevie Wonder. His music, he makes some great music, but it's just also on the
Some?
back end. It's like it's
Dude,
hard.
his
It's
stuff
hard
from
for me,
his
'cause
stuff
I'm
from like 72 to 82 is
I
just,
get it.
It's
at
untouchable.
The time, it was great at the time, but now when I'm just done. They keep tributing them every fucking award
Listen,
show.
blind guys who make it in life, blind guys who just could get to their
got
next
an uncle.
fucking birthday
got a
is
cousin.
impressive to me.
You're right, I agree.
Ray Charles's mother put him on a bus when he was 12, and he went out and became a billionaire.
That happens. Black people do that all the
Mom,
time.
I can't see. Yeah, but if the kid can't
You'll
see,
be fine. You'll be
If
fine.
you show me one black kid who hasn't been put on a bus, then I'll show you two black kids.
Well,
who
I
have
told
been
you I
put
had sex with a retarded chick once, and I couldn't get rid of her, so I put her on a bus.
on- I didn't know that, but that is hilarious.
So I was always a great guy. No,
my God.
of course, she was blind and retarded. But I'm
They
saying,
say-
like, if you're 12 years old, your mother puts you on a bus
Dude, I don't know.
and just says, "The people at that blind school can teach you more, and I can teach you here."
They make it.
I mean, the kid goes out, and you go, "Well, look, if he's lucky, he won't be dead." In 4 weeks, if he's lucky, he becomes Ray Charles. How the fuck does that happen?
Well, it speaks-
How the fuck does that happen?
It speaks to how strong your internals are, because when you lose your eyesight or something, the rest of
It
your
proves there's magic. Is what it proves.
yeah, it's all that he's a strong
There is a
human
God. How do you become Stevie Wonder and
I want more.
Ray Charles?
I'm be honest with you, I want more Ray Charles shit. I love Ray. I love Ray more than if I had to say which one I'm gonna take Ray.
Well, one's dead.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but give him some more tributes. Throw him out there.
What's he
Have
gonna
a
do?
fucking
Turn
cousin
down a
accept it.
tribute? You
It's
can't
like-
turn it down.
I
It's
know,
like
but
that
it's just
Robert
annoying.
Schimmel. It's like
Mad at
Robert
him for having
Schimmel's
a tribute.
Robert Schimmel's great joke.
Motherfucker.
How about Robert Schimmel's great joke? How does a blind guy know when they're done wiping their ass?
That's great.
Like, come here, honey. Can you proofread something for me? I mean, exactly. How do you know when they're done wiping your ass? How do you become
You get another tribute,
A
that's
music
why.
mogul.
Go by smell.
No, fucking somebody sitting there like, good job. Let's give
Chris,
him
you're
an award
not
for this.
gonna win us over.
Listen,
I don't gotta win. I don't even care.
know
I'm
comics
standing
are supposed to.
alone on
Always,
this one.
comics are always
I can
supposed to
live
be
with
cynical, and negative. This is one where you can't. I can't find
I've been-
one argument. I can't even find a joke about it.
No, it makes
I don't know.
For your
I'm so
mom to
angry.
put you on a bus when you're 12 and go, listen, we're in poverty. You're blind. Here's a bus ticket. Good luck.
Hopefully that bus doesn't stop somewhere where they hate you.
Forget about learning the school, finding the school. If the kid found the school,
He found the school.
that's a home run. Getting to the school and teach, learning it, and then writing 100 hit songs. I can't even.
I love Ray. I love Ray.
Well, it
Stevie Wonder's the same thing.
Well, he didn't get put on a bus. Stevie didn't get put on a bus.
I guess he was a child prodigy.
It
Yeah, he was a
magnifies
child
the laziness that goes on in the world, and to be judgmental and say that they don't need.
As many. I didn't say he doesn't
Chris,
need any.
but now I
as
realize
many.
that you lie and you judge blind people.
I judge blind people like regular people because they want to be treated regular, so I treat you regular. I don't
No,
give a
they
fuck.
don't. They don't want to
You
be
sounded
treated
like a young, stupid person there.
You know something? Today, I'm gonna
did,
officially
right?
say it. Today,
Well, Chris in a bad mood.
I
Chris
was
is in a
young.
bad mood. What happened?
I'm in a
I know,
shitty
he's-
mood.
Yeah,
I can tell. What
I'm
happened?
grumpy. Okay, I'm honest. I haven't seen my wife in like 2 weeks, so I'm just fucking angry at
You should
everything.
be in a good mood for that.
Yeah, that's because you get to
I'm
see
just
your wife.
Oh, look who's talking. Over there. Someone's going to get a call later. Could you edit something out?
My wife is in Denver Wednesday through fucking Saturday.
Oh, dude, my wife is
That's
away
proof she
from
doesn't listen to this podcast.
Yeah,
was
I'm a little
fucking
bit
great.
angry, but okay. If usually I would say this opinion, it would be. That's why I'm probably sticking up for Brian
Oh,
Williams.
that's very romantic, actually. That's romantic. Yeah, of course it is. You haven't seen your lovely wife in a couple of weeks, and you miss her. That's nice. You don't see how that's nice?
I don't know.
Saying Stevie
should've put
Wonder
you in a
is
bad mood.
not impressive at all.
It does. It makes me grumpy.
Bad mood.
I get grumpy, yeah.
Really?
Until I say, yeah, I fucking.
When does it start to turn? So it's been 2 weeks already?
It's been like close to 2 weeks.
All right, so when does it start to turn? I would
When
imagine
does the bad mood start?
Yes, but
when do
Really,
you
it
raise
starts-
your hand to a white woman?
Usually after 2 hours. Like now, you
There's a
get.
difference
still-
between being in a bad mood and saying Stevie Wonder sucks.
Okay, that's part of my
Big
bad mood.
difference.
Part of my bad mood is seeing Stevie Wonder and saying "fuck you, Stevie Wonder."
Fuck you.
I don't know, but it's like 2 weeks. After like about 2 weeks, a week after a week, I start getting annoyed. 2 weeks, I get openly grumpy. A week ago, I was in
We're
a
gonna
shitty
get
mood.
sued
They
if you
didn't
keep
know.
going. Only 7 though.
They didn't know last week that I was annoyed.
Now it is hard. It is hard even to be cynical as a comic, even to be cynical about.
Rod, are you still there, Rod?
Oh yeah, we had Rod on.
Rod's dead.
He's got one last.
Now he's got the Francesa call, which are always the
All right,
best.
cool. All right, I'm sorry. Yeah. But yes, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just in a shitty mood, Sue. This is the meanest I probably get though.
All right, I can handle it.
So Sue, you don't need to ride home that bad.
No.
Oh, you're going to get this
Freaking
ride home whether you want it or not. You gonna be like, get in the car,
No,
bitch.
bitch, you're
Whoa.
getting a ride home, bitch.
You said you want the stove and give you the stove.
All right, okay. Now this next one. So you've prank called Francesa with my name in it again, which he loves.
Right.
And then he goes and talks about how it didn't get on the air.
Yeah, well, a caller earlier had said something to him, and Francesa claimed he's willing to talk about anything on the air with his caller, so I put that theory to use.
Okay, go ahead.
Kevin in Manhattan. What's up, Kevin?
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
What's happening?
Before my Dolan point, I have to call you out for something you said earlier.
Today?
Caller Brian.
Yeah, go ahead.
You claim that you let callers talk about anything with you, yet you refuse to answer questions about Artie Lang's podcast and how you were caught tongue-kissing Dan Filato's tiny hole.
See, we're just dumb for all that. There's another guy who's just, a fool. But again, he doesn't get it on the air. That's what he doesn't realize. It gets beeped out.
Mike,
because
it's
you
on
have
the
to
air.
have a delay for guys like that who are going to be vulgar on the air.
Mike, it's on the air.
And no one hears it, though. That's the problem. Dale in Nyack, what's up, Dale?
Mike, everyone heard it.
We all heard it, Mike.
I produced producers after the show with their heads down. Mike, listen, everyone's heard every one of those calls. They've all got on the air. You're obsessed with Dan's asshole. Everyone is about Dan's tiny hole.
Well, if you Francesa never really answered the question, though. Like, he never addressed the rumor of him getting caught with his tongue.
I'm sure. But let's play it one more time because I just laugh at Francesa. As soon as he says Kevin in Manhattan, I laugh.
Kevin in Manhattan, what's up, Kevin?
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
What's happening?
Before my Dolan point, I have to call you out for something you said
Dolan
earlier.
point?
Today? Caller Brian.
Yeah, go ahead.
You claim that you let callers talk about anything with you, yet you refuse to answer questions about Artie Lang's podcast and how you were caught tongue-kissing Dan Filato's tiny hole.
See, we're just dumb for all that. There's another guy who's just, a fool. But again, he doesn't get it on the air.
Mike, it's on the air.
That's what he doesn't realize. It gets beeped out.
Mike, it
because
doesn't
you
get
have to
beeped.
have a delay
Without
for
beeps.
guys like
Not
that who are
one
going to be
beep.
vulgar on the air.
Mike,
you
there
know?
was not
and
one
no one
beep.
hears it, though. That's the problem.
Mike, every
Dale in Nyack, what's
every
up,
single call has been on the air, Mike. Because we've played it on our old show and on this podcast. Every single time that happens, it gets on the air, Mike. Someone has to tell you this. Do you not listen to your own show?
Is he in denial?
I think he is. First of all, he's got the highest rated sports show ever. The guy's very successful. So this is the best plug we could possibly get. Thank you so much, Rod.
No problem. I love doing it.
Yeah, well, keep coming, man.
Of course.
Keep coming with it, and we appreciate your help. You got anything you want to plug?
My Twitter, @Rod from Bayside.
@Rod from Bayside. You're a Twitter legend, a prank phone call legend. That is very funny shit, man.
Yeah, you need to start following me.
Do I not follow you?
You do not follow me.
Take a hint, jerk.
Yeah, I
off.
follow you.
No, I'll follow you right now. I know how to do it.
I know how to do it.
Me and Rod were interacting during the show, before the show. That was
Wait, I'm going to follow you right after I follow Artie's black liver, Artie's dead pancreas.
I thought it was bloated liver.
Diabetes.
Artie's slutty asshole, diabetes Artie.
Slow Matarese, Tan Filato.
Slow Matarese.
Slow Matarese.
And Tan Filato.
There's a Woe Matarese now, too.
Oh, Woe Matarese
It makes
is pretty good.
depressing ones.
Yeah,
What is it called? Whoa?
Whoa, Matarese.
He's the Debbie Downer version. He's good.
I don't have time now. I'll follow you later. All
But,
right?
All right.
yeah.
I will. I promise.
All right.
Tan Filato did interviews at a gay bar with him asking questions about the Artie Lang show. Apparently, I'm a bear. I'm a big gay man.
A bear? You
I'm
are?
a bear. Yeah, I'm a bear. I think the gay
Well, that's
guys
the
like
thing. A
me.
lot of people in the gay community call me a bear, and I take that as a compliment.
That's cool.
Thanks, Rod. We'll talk to you in a bit, all right?
All right, have a good one.
Love you, buddy.
They call me embarrassed and let me handle that salmon. You know what I mean?
Jesus.
I wanted to act out.
He is
more
in a
of
bad
that-
mood.
of that. I wanted to act out more of that Mike Francesca talking to his producer.
Well, I mean,
Mike, all of it, man.
they got their heads down, and he's putting on his enormous overcoat at the end. At the end of the day, what is it, guys? What is it? My kid's game. Well, I got to get to my kid's game. What is it? Mike, we don't know how to tell you this. You know, the Artie Lang calls. Yeah. Every one of them's been on the air.
What?
Like a spit take. He's got his Diet Pepsi. What?
Why does he think that they wouldn't be on?
I don't
Because he's a
know.
dumbass.
He thinks they bleep it out. And that's in denial. He thinks they bleep out the calls, but they're not even close to bleeping out the
But
calls.
that was the whole purpose of the calls. Why would you bleep them out?
Well, no. He has the ability, if someone says something vulgar, to bleep it out. There's a delay.
But I'm saying he thinks you're doing that.
No. He thinks his producer's doing it.
He thinks these
As
calls
it's
don't even
airing.
make it.
He thinks they're not making the
I
radio.
thought
He
you
wave.
meant-
thinks, the part where they mention me and the vulgar thing, he thinks that's not making the air. Because his producer's bleeping them out, not us.
No, I thought he meant that they weren't being
No,
aired on your
no,
show.
no.
I get it.
No,
I get
we-
it. Oh, so the producers are like totally.
I think the producers
letting
like
it
us.
air?
Well, it sounds like the producers are afraid to. Either they like it. I think they secretly like it.
I think someone's starting a Twitter called Slow
Sue?
Sue Costello.
It wasn't slow. I just had to figure it out.
What would
Sue
rhyme
don't-
with
it'll be
Sue?
Sue don't know. It'll
What
be
would
Sue
rhyme
don't
with
know.
Sue that's slow?
The Sue
Anything?
don't know.
Get the rhyming dictionary out.
I'm not
We got to get the
slow.
rhyming dictionary.
I don't miss a trick.
Not a clue, Costello.
Not a clue, Costello.
Not a
That's good.
clue.
You should be the last one to talk there, Joe.
Whatever.
Can
He's
you
just
show me
trying
a
to-
picture of what Brian Williams looks like?
Oh,
Can you show
don't-
me a picture of what Richard Roper looks like?
That's it. Dan is defending his fellow girls' chat room.
Whatever.
Joe's just trying to throw the
He
light
has it
over
in
on
his
me.
his whack off fucking store right there. He's like, oh, here, that was a gay slam on you. What would you call it? Your file of whack pictures?
Your spank bank.
What do you
Spank
call-
bank.
Your
Jesus,
spank
you don't
bank?
know
Yeah,
what
yeah.
you call your own spank bank?
Is that what it's called, spank
We're
bank?
old. We
I
don't
got
know
a
what it's
spank
called.
bank now too.
Oh,
Isn't that
his
dick?
dick?
For saying
Yeah, I
that.
got one picture.
Would you, no, as a
You're mad at
lady,
me for saying
not you directly, Sue, but as a lady, if you did get a dick pic you like, would you spank off to a dick pic? Yeah, that's a yes. That's
No.
already a yes.
Would you
No.
spank it to my stove?
Does the
Yes.
stove
And
do
my
anything
car?
for you?
If it would get me a job.
And my car. Yeah. Okay. Well, Sue, thanks so much for stopping by. This was great.
Thanks for having me.
I love having a
Come
lady
back
on here.
anytime. Want to come?
I want to come back. You said I could come.
You sure? Come back
more
anytime.
often.
Yeah.
But don't invite me because I will come back.
I'm inviting you. Yeah, absolutely.
I usually don't like your Pats fans, but
You like me?
Well, now
not
you
really.
got-
But I still don't like the Pats.
It's hard to
fans.
hate them because then you just look like a major hater now. They're just they are the best franchise of all time.
Someone said to me, it's like
They're the
rooting
best
for you-
franchise of all time. I hate saying it, but they are.
It's like rooting for your landlord. Somebody told me.
Well, now it is. And Boston went through a lot of shit for a lot of years where they had nothing. So
That's why they get hit with all that goddamn snow because
Yeah.
because the Lord still hates them.
the snow melts. The ice on those rings don't.
Oh, Jesus
Follow me on
Christ.
Twitter
Follow you on Twitter. How do we do
let's
that?
do
at Sue Costello.
And you're at the Knitting Factory cutting.
No,
room.
I'm at the cutting room on March 7th.
Joe, what can we do with you?
Follow me on Twitter at the Joe Matarese. Come and see me live March 13th and 14th. I'll be at the Comedy Connection in Rhode Island. And check out my website, joematarese.com. And it has easier ways to click on the Twitter and the Facebook and all that stuff.
Chris Scott.
All right, at Cotton215 of Instagram, Twitter, all that shit. Friday, I'll be at New York Comedy Club hosting for Marina Franklin. She's doing a live taping.
Marina, nice.
So
all right.
please come by, Marina. She's like, she's gonna ask me as soon as this is done. Did you plug it? I'm
She
like,
taping
yeah,
a
I plugged it.
special?
She's taping DVD.
Oh,
So
good. All right.
Maria was my
she hates
roommate
Stevie
on Last
Wonder,
Comic
too.
Standing.
She was your roommate.
on Last Comic Standing.
I love Marina.
Come by,
Okay, you
support
got it.
Marina. It's
Yeah.
gonna be great. And CinCityComedy.com, Sin City Comedy Podcast.
All right, and of course I'll
Sassy.
be at the. Well, I don't know if there's tickets left, but all three of us will be at Valentine's Day at the Borgata, and then Cobb's in San Francisco. That's going quick, so I'm doing 5 shows there. So that's February 19th, 20th, and 21st. ArtieQuitter.com. Tell your friends. Okay, great show, guys. Thank you. Take care, brush your hair.
Take care, brush your hair.
Take care, brush your hair. Take care, brush your hair.